Barkley said in a statement he will not retire and will continue to work with TNT Sports for years to come, whether the network has NBA rights or not.
It's time. You know what time it is? Time for Tuscaloosa's longest running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best. Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
And Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. And now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
And a big good afternoon to you. Welcome into the game. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. A lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to discuss. Practice number 5 on the campus of the University of Alabama. We are going to be dialing in to a couple of different things. We're going to react to some things because I don't think we still unpacked everything that Kalen DeBoer said. And I'm also going to try to provide you some behind-the-scenes type information. And I'm going to be, I'm going to be respectful, but my goal is to share things that I hear around, this Alabama football team, and we're going to do that today. I've been working the telephones pretty much all morning, and we'll share that. I've been at practice also, but when you live about 22. No, I probably live 20 minutes away from campus, maybe a little bit closer than that. I make that drive from Coker, Alabama, right down 82. I live right off 82 out in close to Lake Lurleen, and I jumped on, and I've got 20 minutes of driving, get to practice, then leave practice, go home, get a shower, come back to the press availability because I don't want to kill Wyatt with my Roma. Even though he's over there and I'm over here, I do spend a lot of time going over there and hanging out with him from time to time during a 4-hour show. So I don't want him to look at me and say, Fowler, did you use the degree today? Is the degree activating? So I'm going to talk about this Alabama football team. And we've been very positive, right? We've been very super, super positive. But today, I definitely want to take some angles that would prevent Alabama from getting to the top, right? Listen, we all know the standard here in Tuscaloosa. Regardless of what it is, Alabama football, just like Dominic Jackson said earlier, he said, the A is still the A. It's still the A. And he talked about some of the reasons why he chose to stay here because of Nick Saban. And Kalen DeBoer took over for Nick Saban. I thought it was, it's because of the A. We always know what the standard. And it'll be the same whether Kalen DeBoer is here for, 10 years or 15 years as it is in year number 1. Now, we also have a little bit of a forgiveness policy because, even Nick Saban took 3 years to win his first national titles. But I think when you look at Kalen DeBoer, he's taken over from a much different system. Injuries, they're a little thin at certain positions, right? I mean, we talked about this yesterday. What would prevent Alabama? If you want to ask me number 1, it'd have to be injuries. It would have to be injuries that could prevent Alabama from reaching some of these goals. But I think DeBoer was talking about this on Sunday. And then what you try to do in our media business, you listen to him, but then you try to reach out to people and you say, okay, was it as good as he pretended? And I say pretended the way that he alluded to, hey, practice is going good. It's high energy. There's a lot of things to be excited. Also understand Kalen DeBoer. There is a reason why he's excited, right? He's never worked with this type of talent. Oh, man, that's a strong comment. He's never worked with this type of talent. So it's like a kid waking up on Christmas morning and he goes from, 3 Nintendo 64s to the Sega Genesis and the PlayStation combined, right? It's all in there. It's all, hey, this is what, this Alabama football team is made of. So he can have fun, right? So you see a natural energy from him, but you also see it in the players. Whether we're talking about the assistant coaches or the coordinators, there does seem to be a different vibe. And I have not experienced it. Listen, I've been covering Alabama football for quite a while. I didn't get here yesterday or the day before. I can pick up on body language. When they tell me they got anxiety, now I couldn't describe it as anxiety like Will Anderson did a couple of years ago, but you could see something was missing, and that kind of connected the dots. the players are saying all the right things. I know this is practice number 5, but when you talk with them, there is a different energy here. There's a different focus. And I think a lot of it is motivated by, even though they don't like the external factors, they hear it. Come on. I mean, how could you not? When you look at number 5 in the country and all the doubts surrounding this football team, I think it's one of those that when you think about it, this team could be a little better than maybe what we anticipated. And some areas that we thought were concerns may not be as big of a concern as maybe what we thought about 30, 40, 50, 60 days ago, because I think there's some players that have taken some big steps. And, you start with Caden Proctor. You go back to that left side. He's lost some weight. We have an updated roster. They list him at 369. He could be a little bit lighter than that, but especially, camp 5 days in, probably lost a little bit of, water weight. So, I'm sure they would probably love for him to get down around 360, 355. He's never going to play in the 340s or 330s. That's just not his body makeup. But just asking the people that I've spoken to, has he got better? Yes. That question is yes. It's daylight and dark from where he was, but we saw that progression throughout the season last year. Now, don't take that final game and say, well, hold on a minute. Did you not see Michigan dominate Alabama? I did. Did you also know that Caden Proctor almost was not able to go in that game? That the injury, they got him, the right medical treatment, wink, wink, prior to the game, and they were able to let him run out there. But now he was nowhere near 100%. So remove that game. Go back to where, Alabama played Georgia. Go back to where Alabama played. He was playing a lot better. Well, my understanding is he's taken a lot of steps. Even though we didn't have 15 days of spring practice with him, he's a guy that has taken a lot of steps. Now, I think the battle is at that right tackle spot. It may be an area that could be early on some growing pains, some inconsistent play. You're counting on a redshirt freshman, and then you're also counting a guy that, is competing there that switched from left to right. There's some different techniques, and we'll dive into that. We'll talk about it. We're going to talk with Josh from College Football Nerds, Josh, collegefootballnerds.com. We'll talk with him at 4 o'clock, Mike Detillier. But I want to start here with Kalen DeBoer audio. And we go back to what he has learned. At this point, it would have been 4 practices in. And today, by the way, when we were there, he spent a lot of time on the defensive side of the football. He spent a lot of time individually with that defensive back room. He told us, on Sunday that the most consistent group was defensive line. He spent a lot of time with those defensive backs today. But I want to go back and reflect on one audio clip, and then we'll get to phone calls, and we'll take those. Mike Detillier coming up in just a couple of minutes. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyline Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. But Kalen DeBoer was asked a good question and said, hey, what have you learned about your football team? 4 practices in. This is how the coach at the University of Alabama responded to that question.
That they got a lot of want to, because the first day there's gonna be energy. I spoke with you. The second day, is another follow up. It's still early. Day 3, you get the pads on for the first time, and now now they're into that routine and that rhythm, and that rhythm can just become complacent. And these guys are definitely not doing that, and they're having fun doing what they do out there on the field every day. They enjoy being around each other. They obviously are out for themselves and want to do things individually and have that success, but ultimately you can really feel that they care about their teammates, and I like the direction our chemistry is going.
All right, so he talked about that, and listen, I think that everything he said right there was not just being optimistic, but I think he's being authentic with you. I think he's telling you that he likes this football team, and I think the galvanizing moment that all of them went through. There's one thing that you could say about this football team: they all want to be here. As he said, they all have want to. The players that did not want to be here and their legacy could be bought, then hey, they're long gone, right? So the players that are here have something to prove, and we'll see if they're able to do it. We're 25 days away. One Rolando McClain away from Alabama Crimson Tide football. One Derek Lassick away from Alabama football. The 25 has been pretty good to Alabama. I did see where Alex Scarborough is reporting that we are now going to be moving toward a mandatory injury reports for the 2024 college football season. I'm going to ask Mike Detillier, does he like this? I do, because I think when you look at it from a standpoint of not trying to give us anything, but if the NFL can do it, surely the world of college football can do it from an SEC perspective. So we'll dive into that. We'll take phone calls, and they are already jammed up. A little bit busy every day today. We got tons of audio. Kane Womack is going to get things started with some audio. We'll get to that coming up in about 20 minutes. Mike Detillier joins us right here as we remind you, 25 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. Remember to download the app. It is a free download, Android, iPhone, Google Play. Listening devices simply enable the Tide 100.9 skill and be able to dial in with everything that we're able to offer with our 12-hour lineup. And even beyond, when you look at our relationship with Fox Sports and the variety of shows that we have here, great way to stay dialed in with your Alabama Crimson Tide. Website's Tide109.com, the listing devices, and we also have the streaming rights to Alabama football. So when Alabama football gets here, you'll be able to listen to that via the Tide 100.9 app. Also the Kalen DeBoer Show. That's a new thing. That they will be moving to a different day, and at some point that'll be released by the Crimson Tide Sports Network. So we're going to hold on right here. Let that, maybe they're looking at it for a certain reason. Matter of fact, today, you probably heard the audio that I said, hey, we talk about first day of pads, but they were not in the first day of pads. They were still in shells, so you had the shoulder pads, helmet, and the shorts. So still able to do a lot of contact, but still not able to full pad. So we'll wait for that to see if, that'll be tomorrow or maybe the day after. But they're working away to the first scrimmage inside Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday. We'll dial that in, and we'll talk about it right here on the game. Mike Detillier next. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
This hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Northport's Big Lot Discount Department Store is one of 315 underperforming locations that will be closed nationwide. The announcement is part of the company's filing with the Security and Exchange Commission. According to first quarter quarterly results, the retailer has seen sales decline by $114 million in the first quarter of 2024. Malachi Moore and Jalen Milroe have been named to the Walter Camp watch list. Follow these stories and more at Tuscaloosa.
Double whammy, basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A hot summer afternoon. The sky sunny. The high today 96. Clear tonight. The low 73. Tomorrow sunny with a high at 98. Thursday and Friday the sky sunny both days. Highs between 93 and 96. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
You're listening to the best sports talk show, breaking down the Crimson.
WWL, the big 870, Mike Detillier. I hope all is well. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hey, Mike, there's a new report. I'm sure you guys will be talking about it, but according to Alex Scarborough and John Talty, that CBSSports.com, SEC moving toward adopting a mandatory injury reports in time for the 2024 college football season. You cover the NFL, you cover college football. Do you like this move? And in fact, if they do this for 2024?
Yeah, we've been going through it with Brian Kelly for the last 2 years. He does it very similar to what we see in the NFL. If it was Sean Payton wasn't great about giving you much.
Neither was Nick Saban.
Man, he didn't give you much of nothing. Dennis Allen's a little bit more open about an injury. But, Brian Kelly's done this for the last 2 years at LSU. So it would really be no change here as far as that concerned. Willie Fritz at Tulane was a little bit more tight with any sort of injury and sort of update. Because we had, like today, it's Tulane Tuesday. And we'll have John Summerall on, who's the new coach at Tulane, and I don't know how he is. Willie, out of all of them, was probably the most tight-lipped, and it was the oldest. Him and Brian are pretty close age-wise, but Willie was more old school about it. not giving you much of anything. And, we'll find out a little bit later in the week on if he can play or not. And, there were almost sort of code words. So, yeah, I mean, that's fine as far as that's concerned. Coach O and Les gave you a lot of nothing. Let me put it to you that way. They didn't say nothing about injuries. You literally found that was something, but that would keep somebody out. You didn't know ahead of time.
Mike, in your opinion, and we've watched this industry change in your state, many other states, sports betting is legal. How much do you think this has, even though they would never admit this? I mean, Commissioner Sankey's not going to, but it also amps up the interest for the game. So as much as we say anti-gambling, no. Hold on. A lot of people watch Sunday afternoon and Saturday afternoon for one reason. They got some coin on the game, and it creates an interest in what we do. I know because when I feature handicappers, I watch the comments. People love it when we feature these handicappers.
Yeah, we probably 95-5. Everybody's, kind of two thumbs up. There are always people that are anti-gambling. I don't like it. I wish you wouldn't do it as much on this show. They don't understand, for some of us, we don't have a choice because they bought that time.
Sure.
Okay? You got to understand that some of that is my choice and some of it isn't. So I think gambling is, you couldn't have said this 10 years ago, has been such a huge part of college and pro football today. And that merger of it, you would have never thought. And today, it's a big part of the advertising dollars that they bring in a lot of different ways. And it is the scary part. We had a long discussion with this. We had Peter King on a couple months back, and he heard something I said about, is the genie out the bottle? You don't know about how the gambling part here will affect certain things. And, he was like, Mike, I agree with you. We both sort of similar ages. He's a little older, but man, the temptation of all that is there. And so you don't know. You can say you do. No, you don't. You don't know about that, but the genie's out the bottle at this point in time, and you're not putting it back. It's just like, well, I don't like college football today. Players move around and all this and that. I don't like it and all this and that. Then, it's going to kill the game. No, it's not going to kill the game. They got higher ratings now than they did 5, 6, 8, 10 years ago for games. It's not killing the game. It's different from how you grew up. It's different from your grandpa's world, your dad's world, but it's not going to kill the game of college sports today. Same thing, it won't kill the NFL. But the temptation of gambling is always there, okay? And no matter what, people can say, well, they get NIL money, everything else. Man, there is that unknown, Brian. There is that unknown of that. But it's a marriage that we're going to see for the rest of our lifetime.
Mike, I saw where Jaden Daniels is in line to possibly be the starting quarterback in the National Football League. Mike, I want to go back to Peyton Manning. 1997, he started. It was pretty rough, right, for the Colts. What has allowed the NFL to get quarterbacks into the mix, and not just into the mix, but having somewhat success when you look at the National Football League?
C.J. Stroud is an anomaly
in
what you saw him do last year.
Okay.
You're not going to see that a lot of times. For him to come in, he looked like a seasoned veteran. And he was on a team, Ryan, that was flatline. I'm talking about flatline. You're talking about the Texans. And he was able, man, to jumpstart that organization. But I think today you're getting a better product at quarterback. a lot of it having to do with more passing. 7-on-7 has certainly been an aid to it. Now, some people disagree with that, but I think getting kids involved in the pitch and catch game and their fundamentals, I think has helped. And also, the NFL game is closer to the college game than ever before. You look at the concepts, you look at them bringing in coaches from the college game, it's closer to college football than ever before. So the adjustment is not quite as frank as maybe it was years ago from the NFL, from college to the NFL. It's still difficult for most guys. Your head swimming. Again, what you saw last year with C.J. Stroud, you see more of the Bryce Young's situations than you ever will with Stroud and what he was able to do. Maybe Jaden can do that. Very smart young man. I've told you this before. Man, I've been around a lot of, but I wouldn't say big-time college athletes. He's the most humble guy I've ever been around. I mean, you wouldn't know it, that, he was who he was. And I'm talking about, after even in his Heisman run and everything, he was sort of a regular guy, soft-spoken. You knew he was a leader. He had some of that alpha in him. He was in control, and he knew he could play. He had a lot of self-confidence with his playing skills. But they all do entering the league. But we hear reports of what's happening in New England with Drake May. It's not the same. That he is struggling. Caleb Williams from USC, he's had his moments where he's looked okay, other moments not. I think of all the top three guys, I think Jaden's got the better chance. Maybe it's just how he's wired. I don't know. But man, he's immensely gifted. He gets it at a real high level. We know Penix is probably going to watch this year because of, what they did financially with Kirk Cousins. It'll be interesting with Sean Payton and Bo Nix now. That one's a goodie. Man, I do know he's got a thick hide. J.J. McCarthy does too in Minnesota. To me, why are you playing Sam Darnold? I think we've seen enough. He's not going to be that guy. Bo Nix is interesting because, man, he's never had coaching like this. Not the way Sean is with quarterbacks. Man, Sean's difficult on it. So, but somewhere along the line, it's almost like you have a kid that's a teenager, and eventually you got to give him the keys to the car, and you got to trust him. And I think Dan Quinn really trusts Jaden Daniels. He sees how smart he is, how he handles himself on and off the field. And I think Sean's eventually going to do that with Bo Nix this year. Caleb Williams, to me, has a lot of talent around him, but he's always been a little bit of an impromptu guy also. Sort of kind of making up some plays along the line that would work. And knowing he had to score every time he had the ball. And that's pressure. Same thing as Jaden. You talk about pressure. Because your defenses were so bad at LSU and USC. But Jaden is a smart guy. Super smart. But just the way he processes it. That's the hardest thing for any evaluator, any coach, when you're looking at a college quarterback, to evaluate how they will process that information at the NFL level. I talked to Drew Brees about it numerous times. He was like, I thought I was prepared. I really thought I was until I hit the NFL. And I realized there's a little bit more to this game than, just having some talent. It's processing it at a very quick level. But I think the pro game is so much closer to the college game today that the adjustment isn't nearly as severe as we've seen in the past.
So, Mike, when you look at this, I want to ask you, because you and I can't think of the times that we've talked quarterback play, because quarterbacks have just, it's fun. Certainly it's the most important position on the field. But in your opinion, because I watch these quarterbacks here in 15 practices in the spring and the 5 so far in Tuscaloosa, we've had media availability almost every day that's practice. I see a lot of these quarterbacks, not just, Jalen Milroe, because I know you're high on him.
Yes, I am.
But the backups, you just see them, and like the difference between a quarterback whisperer and you just see them very comfortable, unlike last year where a lot of confusion on that football field.
And again, I go back to a conversation I had with Michael Penix at Manning Camp a year ago, and he told me about, his relationship with Kalen DeBoer and how they, just sort of the meeting of minds on what works for you. I think years ago, the process was, you're going to run my system, and, okay, that's just going to be the way it is. I think that there is a little change coaching-wise, that when you look at the quarterbacks today, all of them have mobility skills. Now, some have it at a very high level, like what Daniels does, like what Milroe does. Some maybe a little lower or, a lot lower. To adjust to what they do best. I think you hear it more from college coaches. I want to find out what my quarterback feels, what he does best, what he feels more comfortable with, what group of receivers he trusts more. Ryan, I hear that more in the last 3 years than I have in the last 33.
Well, I heard it when we talked to Milroe. What was it, Saturday? And someone asked him his favorite plays, and he shared his favorite plays. I'm going, man, this would never happen under the Nick Saban era. Woo! Could you imagine asking? He's going to run what we want him to run. If that's not his favorite player, then just tough dilly.
Yeah, and, Brian's regimented, too, about I like certain things I want run. But I think he always kind of gave a little bit of an opening to Daniels, and he will with Garrett Nussmeier, to call out of that play if he sees something that works. Because he does have a trust factor with his starting quarterbacks. And he mentioned it to me that even at my age, I have to adjust to what they're seeing. I can call a play, but I'm not having to take the snap and throw it. Okay? And what they see today up front. If I see just 4 men up front, Ryan, come on. I'm not throwing the ball unless it's 3rd and 11. If you're only going to play 4 men up front and I got 5 blockers and a tight end, I'm running the ball at you. Giving them that little bit of leeway on what do you see up front and making that adjustment call. And years ago, you wouldn't have done that. Hey, I call a play, run it. I don't care what's up front, what the coverage is. Just run the play that I call. And so you see a little bit of a marriage here between the head coach and the quarterback. And sometimes, even if they do the play, maybe the quarterback doesn't see exactly what should have been there, so to speak. And so it's you see a little bit more adjustment now, but I hear it much more from college head coaches today about them getting to want to know what their quarterback feels comfortable with. I can say first 33 years, it's just a handful of guys that would tell you that. Today, it's virtually 85-90% of coaches that tell you, I want him to have some input here on what we're trying to do. And I think it's adjusting to the talent level that you have on your team. Garrett Nussmeier is not going to be Jaden Daniels. Okay. He's not that type of athlete. So you have to adjust in certain things. So I get what you're saying. And it is an adjustment that we're seeing across college football and also the NFL. You think Andy Reid's a great play caller. All those plays Mahomes makes, you think that's exactly how it's drawn up? When you see Mahomes start to run around a little bit, okay, and buying time, that's not exactly how Andy drew it up. Now, the end result might be, but, there's always a little bit of play in there. And Andy wouldn't call the same game if he had a different style quarterback. He wouldn't do it at all. And so you have to adjust to the talent level and the athletic level of the most important position on the team. And I got a co-host that'll tell you the exact same thing. And a lot louder than I would.
Well, Mike Detillier, I always appreciate you, man. I know we're in the middle of camp and you're trying to juggle the NFL and the college game, and we certainly enjoy picking your brain here each and every week on the game. Hope you have an awesome show this afternoon on the big 870 WWL. Mike Detillier and Bobby Hebert and company. Mike, I always appreciate you, man. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you. Mike Detillier, always fun to pick his brain because you do see that comfort level in this quarterbacks. You can see the way that this wide receiver room has really stepped up. I think maybe that's the biggest surprise so far of camp. 5 practices in. I mean, there's 2 that's really, really close for me. One would be that the defense is going to have some growing pains, but probably not as much as what we thought about 30 days ago. When you look at the offensive side of the ball, wide receivers, man, it just jumps off. When you're out there and you're going, Ryan Williams, they won't be able to keep him off the field. And I think most of us knew that. But I think from a statistic standpoint, maybe even a little bit further ahead than we think. White, I'm not sure if you picked up on this today. Did you see Ryan Williams running? Okay, now don't overreact to this because we were kind of warned. We don't want to, create something that's not really there. But if you're talking about reps, you know who was running through the reps from number 1? Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams was the first guy through those reps. Now that could be a strategic standpoint because he's a freshman and he needs more of, that quality rep. So if they're able to make it through, 2 rotations or, when the bell rings and they go to a different period, maybe that's one of the reasons. But when you look at Ryan Williams, he doesn't look like a freshman. Now, his physically still needs to add some bulk, and I'm sure he will in given time. But Ryan Williams, statistically speaking, and I was going to do something today. I may do it tomorrow, but I also want to get through this first scrimmage, and then we'll do it. But let's take some phone calls. Robert in Mobile. Kane Womack, what else did you grab from practice? What? Anything that jumped out to you? Anything that we got us a pretty decent long period this morning. We were out there for a good, I thought, 25, 30 minutes. Because we went out there at period number 4 and we left at the end of 8. So pretty solid time. But some things that I'll share, and I'm sure you've got some as well.
I've gotten a good look at the defensive backs. I spent a lot of time watching watching Mo Linguist in the defensive back room. And
by the way, Kalen DeBoer was in that room too, that group.
He was over there today. He's been over there a lot recently. I don't know if it's because every time I make a stop at the defensive backs just to watch, just because that's the area of concern for this season. It seems like every time I'm over there, they're providing extra coaching to these young guys. They seem to love Zay Mincy. They're providing a lot of extra coaching with him. And then Kalen DeBoer is always floating around that defensive back group.
And Xavier Brown with that big club. First time I ever seen that club, I guess it was Patrick Willis. And it was used against Alabama, and he was playing at Ole Miss. And he had the club, which kind of gives him a little bit of height. Don't know about a defensive back, but, you're going to lose some of your grip when trying to jam those guys. But that little club that he's got built out there that, and I think today Kane Womack said that he was on a rep count. We'll continue with more. We're going to take your phone calls. We're also posting things on Tide109.com. We'll take your phone calls. Robert in Mobile, get ready. You're up next. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama.
Code BETTER for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com.
news at 9 o'clock this morning that was being played throughout the practice facility. Figured we'd share it with you and a couple of other ones. Michael Jackson was a popular hit this morning, and we will share some of those. The variety of music, I mean, it's upbeat. I think I looked at Wyatt and says, man, it kind of lifts you up in the morning. So, and for those who watch us on Twitter, when we put up practice photos, videos, then I can share the music there and I don't get flagged for copyright infringement. If I do it on the Facebook side of things, that's the reason why the videos are silent on Facebook. So if you ask that question, if you want to know, we post a lot of those on Facebook, and a lot of times we cross post them on Facebook. So if you watch on Facebook, generally we I do, because I don't want to get flagged for copyright, and then your account gets suspended and you have to go and appeal to somebody in Silicon Valley and you try to explain, hey, why my account was suspended. So I'm trying to be nice and, but also trying to provide a lot of content. 26 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. I do remind you about Newk's Eatery, 205 University Boulevard, 205-758-2455. The Newk's Q sandwich, the #1 sandwich across the franchise. You can find that, the Newk's Q, which is the white barbecue sauce, the French dip sandwich, the great pimento cheese, the chicken salad, the club. You know what's better than the club? The Double Club. The Double Club. Joel Bromfield cooking up some great things. 205 University Boulevard, 205-758-2455. If you're thinking about lunch and dinner options, also catering from a small office party to a larger corporate event, 205-758-2455. Also on the app, and don't leave there without having some of that great cake, 12-layer cake. Let's go to your break right here, Wyatt. I got a little bit late. Let me, because I don't want to cut Robert short. Let me take a 2-minute break and we'll come back. We went a little bit long with Mike. Robert in Mobile, I want to give you plenty of time, and I'll do that next. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
With only 43 seconds remaining, facing a 4th and goal from the 31-yard line at Jordan-Hare Stadium, quarterback Jalen Milroe finds himself under immense pressure, scrambling to connect with Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone for a miraculous come-from-behind victory over Auburn. The jaw-dropping 27-24 result came on the 10th anniversary of the Kick Six. Daniel Moore is proud to announce 4th and 31, his upcoming oil painting featuring the now famous Gravedigger play. New Life Art is now accepting pre-orders for limited edition fine art prints and canvases of 4th and 31. See the preliminary pencil sketch for the artist's full color painting at DanielMooreArt.com. Pre-order your
within 30 miles. And if they don't have what you need, they'll get it. Cypress Supply, 2036 62nd Avenue, Tuscaloosa. Cypress-supply.com.
Big Mike's downtown Moundville, only about 15 minutes from where I'm located. Also in Gunnersville, Alabama, Thomasville, Andalusia, Auburn, Alabama, Orange Beach. You'll find one of the best steaks in the state of Alabama, voted by the Alabama Cattlemen's Association and many other great publications recognizing the great ribeye, the seafood entrees. You'll find those. The great
Tidwell Chiropractic, the only third-generation chiropractor with over 26 years experience in Tuscaloosa. Call Tidwell Chiropractic at 752-2503.
The best breakdown of Alabama football in the...
We'll welcome you right back into the game here in Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your name, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Robert Mobile. Robert, good afternoon. You're on the game.
Hey, man.
How are you, man?
Well, kind of with my withdrawals from Bidenomics yesterday, hitting me in the face.
Yeah. Now, hold on. Don't say anything. Don't jinx us. We got about 10 minutes here. Don't. Be nice, Robert.
You're all right
Be nice. You can...
I can have it in 10 minutes. You're right.
Be nice.
Guys were mentioning, talking about gambling a bit in your last segment.
Okay. Let me say this. It's from a standpoint of injury reports. Now, this came Comes via Alex Scarborough and John Talty. SEC moving toward adopting a mandatory injury reports in time for the 2024 season. And why this tied into gambling is, let's say you got a quarterback that's questionable or doubtful or probable. Then it can push that line one way or the other. I mean, especially with depth as thin as it is around college football. Just something to kind of think about.
Well, yeah, the fans have been wanting this forever. Nick Saban always being cagey about his injuries, and I mean, it would have been nice to know, to know that. So yeah, gambling is definitely a factor in sports. I mean, it's been there forever, almost in sports. I mean, from I guess you can go back to the original Olympics. I'm sure they were gambling during that time as well. It's just an inevitable thing that's going to happen. And, I don't see a problem with it in myself, obviously because I do it. It was like with alcohol. And next, I'm a Christian, and I got into a debate with a guy about, gambling and alcohol. He said, hey, well, that's wrong. And he had the audacity to ask me questions. Okay, why? I said, well, it's because the Bible says. And he said, really? He said, prove it. And okay, well, I'll show you. I'll prove it. And then realizing I never really looked into it myself at all. And I really set out to try to prove it to him. I could not prove it to him. I can't go back, doing the very same. I honestly can't prove it to you. Because I honestly can't. I can see prohibitions against excess, all galore. But the accident of itself, I can't see where the Bible says you can't. I just don't do anything in excess. It says the same thing about eating.
Well,
not what
all right, so Robert, let me also say this. You opened the show or opened your call talking about the stock market. Is that not a form of gambling?
No, and that's a good question. Although, but that's a good category. No, it really isn't. I don't think gambling is wrong, but I don't believe stock market is gambling.
Really?
And the thing to hear, here's the case. Usually in gambling, the only way someone can win is if somebody loses. That's, in fact, I can't think of a gambling in a sport that in order for you to win, someone else has to actually lose. Stock market is not like that. Stock market, if everybody's stock go up, no one has a problem with that. Nasdaq doesn't have to go down for the stock down to go up.
The people that pulled out the day before it could.
Well, they didn't lose. They just decided to.
Well, but I mean, isn't that kind of? I mean, okay, so the people that pulled out yesterday and said, "Oh, you know what? I can't stay in. I'm going to the sidelines." Well,
yeah, but you didn't lose because I won.
No, that didn't mean
your stock didn't go. Your stock didn't go down because mine went up. And that's what gambling is. With gambling now, well, the house is usually, if you're in Vegas, well, it's the house that loses money it's straight up gore. And, you're betting against your buddy. Well, okay, where he can win is if you can win is if he loses. Now, that's fine. But again, I don't think the end of itself, that's wrong either. It's just, another decision that you make that you chose to just really go into. As long as it doesn't put you in the poorhouse, that's just a friendly. It was a nice bet. Hey, I lost. Here's your $5, or here's your money, or here's your $100. I tell you what, I bet a friend of mine $50 that Jalen Hurts would not make the NFL. Boy, did that age well, didn't it? Back then when Jalen Hurts was, kind of iffy, I was like, man, I don't think he's an NFL quarterback.
Sure.
As a quarterback, sure. I didn't think Jalen Hurts would be an NFL quarterback. But hey, he was right. I was wrong. So the stock market is not like that. Both of us can gain or both of us can lose, but it's not predicated on the only way I can make money is if you lose money. The stock market doesn't work that way. Gambling, someone has to lose money in order for you to make money. Again, that's a free choice that you freely made, open-minded. I don't see a problem with that. It's as long as no one's end up in the poorhouse, destitute. And that's very few people that ends up that way. Extremely rare. But they're in that problem is I can't gamble because you have a problem with it. that's, very few people have a problem with something, so therefore the vast majority have to be denied something. I really hate that when people do things like that. I just never seen a problem with gambling. I tried to prove it biblically because I was on the side that you can't drink and you can't gamble, and I know it's in there in the Bible somewhere. I just have to find it, and all I could find is don't do those in excess, and it also included eating in that. So yeah, I couldn't prove it.
So and one of the things that I like about the bookies and the handicappers that we feature is they remove a lot of that bias. Yeah, they're biased towards winning, right, but you get a lot of insight into asking someone because they're biased towards the green. They're not biased towards the other thing. So
let them pick the top 25. Is that what you're saying? You would be right about that.
What? I wish sometimes they would incorporate it. I know they want to totally ignore those Vegas handicappers, but to me, they're very, very smart in the world of sports that we live in.
Yeah, then you would get a legitimately competitive, unbiased top 25. That would be certain.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's as long as you're doing it in excess, and with everything, like I said, I had to eat crow of my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law I had a debate with. I had to eat crow. I could not prove it, and to this day, he never lets me forget it. but I learned a lesson.
Hey, Robert, I appreciate you, man. Roll Tide.
All right, man. Catch you later.
Hey, right back to you. Thank you. Let's continue, and we'll take more of your phone calls coming up. We'll get Josh in Georgia. JR, we'll get to you. Tommy, we'll get to you. We have one line available, 205-342-9904. We'll talk to Josh from CFB Nerds coming up at 4 o'clock. More calls, more audio. The defensive coordinator at the University of Alabama spoke. We listen. We'll bring it to you coming up in a couple of minutes. Not the full clip. We don't do that on this show. To me, that's a different brand of radio that I want to do. I like to take the clips and make a conversation out of it. I'm not going to play a 15-minute press conference just because I wanted to go to the Outback and smoke a cigarette, even though I don't think we have any smokers. But that's not my style. We'll continue with more. We got audio that we'll do next. T-Town Tide 100.9 1230.
Freshest, best quality to our customers. So we just look at it as, hey, basically, we're your kitchen. You're just coming to eat in your kitchen. Taco Casa, under the biggest cactus in town.
Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets in downtown Tuscaloosa, 1010 Queen City Avenue for over 60 years. They've been serving our community. They specialize in a large inventory of fresh flowers, weddings, gourmet fruit baskets. If you're trying to lift someone's spirits, it is Pat's Florist Gourmet Baskets by calling 205-345-5093. Delivery options are available, but it's more than just flowers at Pat's Florist and Gourmet Baskets, 1010 Queen City Avenue.
Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A hot summer afternoon. The sky sunny. The high today 96. Clear tonight. The low 73. Tomorrow sunny with a high at 98. Thursday and Friday the sky sunny both days. Highs between 93 and 96. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3320 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Isaac Lowenkron.
In the NFL, ESPN reports the San Francisco 49ers are now willing to listen to trade offers for star receiver Brandon Ayuk, have already received interest from the Patriots and Browns, and this afternoon re-engaged discussions with the Pittsburgh Steelers. At the Olympics, the U.S. men's basketball team about to face Brazil in the quarterfinal round. The U.S. women's soccer team won its semifinal match over Germany in extra time 1-0 on a goal by Sophia Smith. It was the second straight knockout game that Team USA has won in extra time. They will face the winner of the other semifinal between Brazil and Spain. Brazil right now has a 1-0 lead over Spain in the first half. And in track and field a short time ago, American Cole Hawker won the gold medal in the men's 1500 meters.
Any way you want it, the way you need it.
Tuscaloosa Tide at 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Even though Kalen DeBoer said that Journey was in that top, it's not maybe at that number one spot. It's in the top. It can be on some days. I haven't heard any Journey out there, so I don't know. I'm going to find out, though. I'm going to work.
We may need to reevaluate this 3 o'clock song.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he could just be sending us down a little pig trail there. But anyway, we'll definitely attempt to find other methods. Okay, other methods. I thought about and you guys might think about this. Thought about stealing the iPad, but I think they would miss it because he's got an iPad over there that he does as far as the music, right? The little DJ that they've got that they spin the hits on. We could go over and steal the iPad, but at some point they would know that because the songs would kind of end, right? So just something that we can kind of keep an eye on. Let's continue. We're going to get to Josh. We'll get to JR. We'll talk to Josh from College Football Nerds coming up. Top of the hour at 4 o'clock. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. The RAV4, 3.99 APR for 36 on the 2024 RAV4. The 2024 Highlander, you can lease starting at $429 plus $1,000 loyalty cash. You can find it at Tuscaloosa Toyota, and also for a limited time. We did extend the 1.99 APR, and we gave you a $2,000 loyalty cash on the 2024 Tundra. It is happening. Skyline Boulevard and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. Let's go here to Josh in Georgia. Josh, good afternoon to you. Welcome into the game.
Good afternoon, Ryan. How in the world are you, buddy?
Oh, man, it's a good day. Good day. Good day. Anytime you can start day with practice and, see little pads clicking.
Right. I'm telling you, I have enjoyed getting to go back and look at everything that you've been putting up over the last couple of days. And Sunday afternoon, I was able to go back and catch up on a lot of that. And then I just got done before I called in here getting today's stuff out of the way. So that was pretty good. And
trust me, we've got a lot of things that we've got to put up. A lot of things.
I believe it. I believe it.
We're probably not in shape, and from our finger standpoint, editing, getting all this up. I mean, it's like an all-you-can-eat content buffet.
David, I'm telling you. And if y'all are listening and you have social media and you're not following Ryan, go find Ryan and follow him because he's putting up some good stuff.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We do it on Facebook. We do it on Twitter. We do it on Instagram.
Yeah.
So it's and we try to mix it up. We have a lot. There's so much.
Right.
We even try to run live with a lot of our video. I mean, we put a lot of that up.
Oh yeah.
So.
But the excitement is just continuing to build here, and it looks like some good things are starting to come out of that defensive side of the football. It's definitely things that interest me because, we've been known as having a defense in Tuscaloosa for years, and I'm excited to see what Coach Womack and them boys on that defensive side of the football end up doing as far as when they line up to play. It sounds like I think one thing, he said it before on a couple of different interviews with you, they want to manifest turnovers. I know they don't call them interceptions or takeaways. I forgot exactly what words they use and don't use, but I think he's going to have a ball-hungry bunch by the time we get to, just game one. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. And back there with Malachi Moore is what Keon Sabb will be the other safety on the other side. And them cornerbacks, I'm looking forward to it. So, and heard some good things about the D-line. What was that, Sunday or yesterday? He said some.
Sunday. He said it was the most consistent group on the field was the defensive line. That's actually a positive sign.
That's a big comment. So, because up to this point, we had all been offense. And we pretty much, you can almost dictate what the offense is capable of and what you're going to think you're going to see. But now we're starting to flip to this other side of the ball. And you're starting to hear these things, and it's like, okay. And I like what I'm hearing. I don't know if anybody else. I look forward to seeing what everybody else has to say. And I'm sure you look like what you're getting to hear and what you're getting to see from the defensive side of the ball.
Well, and I talk to people who are at practice. We get our 25 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, it's a variety. Like sometimes it's 15, but really we got 4 periods, 5 minutes a piece this time. We got about 22 minutes this morning, I think is where it was at. But some of them are a little bit longer than 5 minutes. I think they run 28, 29 periods. So, But you also go behind the scenes and you try to get more information, right, to be able to share.
Right.
And
yeah, work your phone, work the sources, work the milkshake maker.
Yeah, well, and that's my guy. I mean, you know, I know I've been kind of so. But
anyways, and something else I was looking at yesterday. Of course, I've got my ticket for game 1, but I was looking at another game or two to see what I could do. And I'm gonna see what I can work me out this year, and I'm gonna embrace this whole new era, and I'm gonna help bring it in. And we got hats, we got shirts, we're ready to roll, and I can't wait. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it is, and I think, you know, I know I've asked this a couple different days, but it seems like from everybody I've spoken to, I've not had one person behind the scenes that's not talked about the vibe, the energy, you know, talking about, you know, the way that these players respond. And I think that's created.
For sure.
It's different than Coach Saban. Coach Saban was probably the other side of positive, which is negative. He was the complete opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd go out there and have a great play and, you know, he'd rip you to shreds. Kalen DeBoer provides a lot of positive reinforcement to his players, but he challenges them too. I mean, I was talking to a source earlier today, and he was sharing a story about a wide receiver, and he walked up to him during practice, quizzed him. Hey, what are you supposed to be doing here? Even though you're on the sidelines, you're still getting a mental rep. What are you supposed to be doing here? And he said the particular player nailed it, right? He shared, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do. Perfect. I mean, so it kind of keeps you on your toes. So it's not like they're, coaching them any different. It's just they are coaching them different, but it's a different positive reinforcement. And so far, maybe this matches up better with college football than where Coach Saban had it.
For sure.
And I'm not talking about the first part of the dynasty when they were going 3 out of the last 4.
No. But I was talking to somebody today, and his grandson is actually headed to Alabama. He'll be a part of the band this year. And we was just talking about college football, how it's really changing. And you can definitely see that with, like you said, Coach Saban used to be, rip you to shreds. But now it sounds like that they're still coaching them, but it's just a little bit different. And it sounds like it's working. So I'll say that. But I'm excited and can't wait to hear what everybody else has got to say.
Well, one of the things that I want to dive into with Josh from College Football Nerds coming up here in a couple of minutes at 4:00, I want to discuss the simplicity of the defensive side of the football. Can you still play simple and also be as effective? I want to talk about that because I continue to hear from the players that this defense is simpler. But by being simpler, do you give up some from the efficiency standpoint? Can you still be efficient? That's where I'll dive into with Josh from College Football Nerds. So I like to take the analytical approach. All right, Josh, appreciate you, man.
Sure. Yeah, buddy, roll tide.
Roll tide. Fired up. Let's continue with more phone calls. We've got a Tommy Romulus. Tommy, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
All is well. How are you?
Good.
Yeah. Well, they look good again today, I hear.
Oh, no. I mean, national championship, baby.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear
There is nobody, including the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears, that can take down this Alabama team. Everybody else, Tommy, is playing for second place.
That's the way I want it. And keep them low in the poll. Nobody will respect us, and we're going to surprise people. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Yeah. Just another couple of weeks, and we'll be in Bryant-Denny Stadium on a cool summer night. It'll be cooling down late, around 6 o'clock, and we'll watch Alabama beat.
Did I see something earlier this week that they're expecting some parts of Alabama and late, I think it was Sunday, has a chance to be in the upper 50s?
Well, that's probably North Alabama.
No, I'm not talking about the daytime high, but in the evening, you could get in the 50s, baby. Ooh, that feels good.
Windbreaker weather, yeah. long sleeve Alabama T-shirt weather. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. So they looking good. And all my little stuff yesterday, the point I was trying to make was Kentucky get punished, but Michigan won't, because, you know, they're one of the elite programs. They frown on the SEC or the South, so nothing going to happen to them clowns up there. So everybody need to move on from that and quit talking about it. That's all I hear. That coach might get suspended for a game. Big deal. How many games Harbaugh was suspended last year? 3? So, big deal.
I mean, cheating is no longer really punished.
No.
And really, if you want to look at it from an Auburn perspective in our state, they're the ones who knocked the barrier down against the NCAA.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Deny.
That was one thing they always did better than Alabama, defending themselves in front of the NCAA.
Well, it's like everything in politics, sports, even in religion. Deny. I mean, if you keep on denying it, people say, well, he must really believe he's innocent, he did no wrong. Then you got your administration at these schools backing you up. That's why Washington and Montgomery is so screwed up. Deny. I hear our receiver is running first team. That's the rumor. I don't know. I better not say that out loud.
They're not going to be able. They're not going to be able to keep. They're not going to be able to keep this young man off the field. I don't think they were purposely trying to. But when you look at him and you think freshman, but you think about it even beyond that, he's at a point where he should be in high school. That's a big comment, man. And he's smooth as silk, man. It's fun to watch him go in and out of those routes. And he just looks like a cheetah gliding through the safari.
Well, I remember the late Ray Perkins said he played in after he got serious injury being a halfback at Alabama. He went wide receiver, and he made a joke. I'm going to tell you the easiest position to learn is wide receiver. You got the hard part is developing your timing and your separation from the DB or the corner. I mean, and Ray Perkins would say that, so he was never worried about it. When he went out to Phil Simms for quarterback of the New York Giants, he ran the route for him to throw to him, see if they wanted to draft him or not. So, hey, the only thing I'm worried about is depth. So far,
and really that should be. That should be. I mean, that is a major concern when you look at the depth side of things. It is. They look solid, but I think this is the issue with college football. When you look around, there's not a lot of depth. There is in certain positions. I mean, you could go to quarterback.
Sure.
I think you got a pretty deep quarterback room. I think you got a pretty deep running back room. You got a pretty deep wide receiver room. But then there's some other defensive line. You're pretty solid there with the numbers. Linebackers, you're starting to be maybe better than what you thought you were going to be. The outside backers still the question. Defensive backs, really at corner, if you had an injury, you're pretty tough.
Well, like everybody say, I like it when it's boring like this because Tennessee have had an injury. They lost one of their defensive linemen for the season, Notre Dame. And guess what?
I saw Nebraska losing one as well.
But schools start up. We haven't had no problems. That's the big thing. We have had a quiet summer. We have a boring summer. Because nobody got in trouble. Nobody got hurt. Nobody did nothing stupid. So that tells a lot on the team, the senior leadership of this team, and a lot of things. And they're going to mesh towards the end of the season to be a very, very good football team. That's just my humble opinion. So, like I said, 25 days to 24, I can't wait. So I'm ready to go. So.
As you should be. Tommy, thank you, man.
All right, man. You have a good one. Take care.
Roll Tide. We'll get to JR in Coker, Alabama. Stephen in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have a line available for you at 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904. Rumsey Environmental. It's a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs. When you have to know it's being done right, that's the time to call Rumsey Environmental. We roll on. We'll take more of your phone calls coming up in a couple of minutes. We're also going to go back to this Kane Womack audio. We'll do that next. T-Town, Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Northport's Big Lot Discount Department Store is one of 315 underperforming locations that will be closed nationwide. The announcement is part of the company's filing with the Security and Exchange Commission. According to first quarter quarterly results, the retailer has seen sales decline by $114 million in the first quarter of 2024. Malachi Moore and Jalen Milroe have been named to the Walter Camp watch list. Follow these stories and more.
Is usually checked at least once or twice a year. Let your doctor know you are concerned about the health of your kidneys and ask what you can do to keep your kidneys healthy.
Nuke's Eatery, they're on the fringe of the campus of the University of Alabama, close enough that you can smell the championships. The Nuke's Q sandwich, still the number one sandwich across the franchise. The French dip sandwich, I think, is going to challenge for that number one spot. The double club, the single club, you can pair those up with a great sandwich, salad, California-style pizzas, all available for catering from a group of 5 to 500, a small office party to a large corporate event. Joel Bromfield, they've done a great job for my family. They'll
Bring a SNAP. Need to modify an order? No problem. So when it comes to food for work, make it easy on yourself with EasyCater. Start your order at EasyCater.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A hot summer afternoon. The sky sunny. The high today 96. Clear tonight. The low 73. Tomorrow sunny with a high at 98. Thursday and Friday the sky sunny both days. Highs between 93 and 96. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3320 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Catch every game and every moment right here. This is your home of Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
I can see you're out of aces for a taste of your whiskey. I'll give you some. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done.
I'll give you some stock market advice. Go bet on the Tide. It might be more reliable. The volatility may not be where some of the other stocks are happening in the world of the stock market. Go bet on the Tide. You don't have to bet on them winning the national title. I mean, I think you can get even money on betting on them just making the college football playoffs. I feel like I can look at you and say, that may not be – listen, is it as close to a guarantee? But neither is the stock market. So – maybe go bet on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's go to JR in Coker. JR, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, Ryan, how are you doing?
Man, I'm good. Good. Having a great day.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime I can hang out with the Alabama fans, it's always good.
Yeah, that's right. You do that every day. You have a blast. That's a great job you got.
Not too bad. Start the day watching practice and talking with the Alabama fans.
Hey, that reminds me. I saw something where you're going to do something this Sunday. Is that right? Or was that last Sunday?
Refresh me.
It was on the. It said either the 2nd or the 11th because it had 2 marks on there, and I guess it would be the 11th. It was on your on the Tide app where you had a practice. Where you get autographs and all that.
Oh, well,
you don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we shared what Fan Day was going to be. Fan Day is this upcoming weekend.
That's Sunday, right?
It is, but I don't. I mean, maybe I wrote something about it. I don't know, maybe a couple of days ago. But
it had your name up there. This is
Like on my Facebook
Fowler.
account?
No, it wasn't your Facebook account. It was on the app, on the Tide app.
Okay, well.
Anyway, you're going to have a little...
I'm a writer and I don't even know it.
Well, I'm just wondering about, you said it was Sunday. It's free. The gates are open. And it's going to be a nice little event. It's going to be hot, but everybody...
It's Fan Day that they've done it the years past, but this is a new system with Kalen DeBoer. Usually it's on like the second or third day of practice, which you don't get a chance to see a lot. Sunday, that'll be a little different look.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna try to make it,
but I promise you what it's going to be like, I don't know, because it's.
So you see, I'm just got out of the hospital yesterday.
Are you gonna? I don't know if I'd go out there if you're just getting out of the hospital. I don't know if it'll be that important.
Well, it was yesterday. I got a few days to start getting. I think I got out a little too early. I mean, I got out, and today I've had a little bit of difficulty, but it's all right. I'm better here, I think, than I was. Hospital. I was in there for 7 days. That's long enough. I was tired of it. They were real good. Took good care of me, though. I'll say that.
But overall, you're feeling better.
Yeah, I still have vertigo. That's something that takes a while to kind of completely go away. And
is that what caused you to fall?
No, I fell because of the heat. I have a blood pressure issue already. And then when you get a little dehydrated and blood pressure problem, all those things. And I was in the heat, and I was pushing it because it was about 4 o'clock, and I had to have the truck unloaded and everything by 5, and clocked out by 5 o'clock. And so I was kind of trying to do it a little quick, quicker than I should have. And I don't remember. The next thing I remember, I was in the hospital. Had 6 staples in my head and concussion and vertigo, and I couldn't even get out of the bed. I couldn't even stand up. It took me 4 days before I could put my feet on the floor, and it was pretty rough. You never want to get vertigo. I don't know if anybody you've ever had it, but it's pretty rough. It makes you nauseated too. Your head starts spinning around in circles. Worse than being drunk. I guess. Who is it? Bama Nick. Yeah, he might have had vertigo, or maybe he's been drunk.
Could be.
But he's probably. I know he's been drunk. But anyway, I like that guy. He's very. He's your number one caller, isn't he?
Oh yeah. He's number one. Is at the top. Yeah, nobody else is. Yeah.
Okay, I hear you. Well, I'm just glad to be out and kind of having a chance to talk with you and kind of get up to. It's going to take me a little while to get up to speed with you, buddy.
We're going to get you. Yeah, we're going to get you where you need to be. We're going to work you and try to get you some reps in, and we'll try to lift you back up, JR. But a lot of excitement around this Alabama football team, rightfully so.
I know it is, and I got a real quick question for you. What is the most important new player that we got on our team, man, that's more than likely going to be having to play, maybe even start?
You going to let me count transfers in there too?
Well, I was more thinking young guys, the freshmen coming in. I guess a transfer as long as they're, not seniors.
Okay. Well, if you're going to say just let me do one player, I think there's two. There's more than just that. I mean, see, that's the part that I don't think we're calculating. Like Jackson, transfer from USC. Sapp from transfer from Michigan, who beat us out at the Rose Bowl, right? Keon Sapp. He was a starter on a national championship, so he's a safety. Right there's 2 defensive backs, and it was an area of need for Alabama. You go to Williams at the wide receiver. He can give you something that maybe you don't feel like you have. Also, Xavier Brown's another guy.
You talking about Ryan Williams?
Yes. Yeah, Ryan Williams.
Okay, I've read a little bit about him.
Okay.
But yeah. And you said who else? What was that class? Your last?
Xavier Brown's another defensive back from Modern Day High School that's a true freshman that has kind of been a step ahead of the competition. And really, I think we thought, okay, here we are going to add some competition. Deshaun Jones from Wake Forest is going to be a guy that's going to come in and push for time. And
well, I guess this competition is a good thing, makes them all work harder and try to get that starting bid, But I'm looking forward to this season. Everybody, has us predicted as number 5 or 16. I kind of like that. I've always liked that in the past when Alabama's not at the top on the first of the season. And we can, kind of aim towards the top and not everybody aiming at us as the top dog. So it gives us a little bit of a chance to kind of sneak attack. I think we got the team to do that.
Yeah, more of the hunter role than the hunted.
Exactly. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you putting up with me, man. I appreciate it. A few times I've called and I had to hang up. I was in the hospital the last time when I called and you went and you said, well, JR, where you at? I don't know, something like that. I mean, I'm sure you had something to say about when I wasn't on the line. The doctors walked in. I had to go.
Okay, no problem, JR. I hope you have a great day, man. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Take care. Roll Tide, Ryan.
Right back to you. That means 2 lines available, 205-342-9904. Let's go to Kane Womack talking about these 3 linebackers, because if you want to talk about maybe a surprise, is Justin Jefferson, a name that we didn't hear a lot of in the previous practice availability, but we're starting to hear that name a little bit more frequent. Kane Womack was asked about trying to get those 3 guys on the field at the same time, and we've seen some of those formations with Deontay Lawson, Jahad Campbell, and now Justin Jefferson. And he even responded last time we visited with the defensive coordinator of kind of that he sees those 3 guys as kind of co-starters. This is how he responded to that question.
I think there's, I think when you look at that position, right, you got to find ways to get people like that on the field, right? We have 3 starter type players, right? And so, we're always going to look at packages and ways that we can say, okay, when they come out in this personnel grouping, we'd love to find a way to get these guys out there on the field. We are a 5 defensive back defense, right? And so for us, right, that's not going to change. That's who we are. That's what we're going to do. But at the same time, right, finding creative ways, maybe in some sub packages to be able to get them out there would be great. And that'll be more of a game plan thing, week to week.
Hey, we actually talked about that just a couple of days ago. How would you try to get all 3 of those guys? You can call them what you want, but when you got playmakers and you got that quality of players and you're weak at a certain area, or not weak, but just you're still in some growing area, right? You still got some training wheels on some guys. Just something to think about. We got more audio. We'll get to Stephen and Raleigh next. Josh from College Football Nerds is going to answer a lot of questions that you want to know. We'll do that at 4 o'clock right here on The Game. T-Town, Tide, 100.9, 1230. WT.
Bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits, and if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. As you know, it's one of my favorite places. Eat Southern, be Southern, the daily lunch and dinner specials, the great menu that features that Southern cuisine, like the bacon wrap meatloaf, the fish and taters, the biscuit sandwiches, the great steaks, the great chicken entrees, great sandwiches, including the pickle burger, the Ale House burger, the yard bird, great desserts, and always that featured bread pudding that Brett Garner's cooking up. Let Southern Ale House cater your special event.
Or find us on Facebook, Andrew Conifer Agency. Once again, you can reach us at 205-722-9201. Allstate, are you in good hands?
The best sports talk show in all of Alabama.
Living on love, buying on time without somebody.
Here in Tuscaloosa, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. We're taking your phone calls. We got a Stephen in Raleigh, North Carolina. Stephen, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well. Hey, Stephen. Going once, going twice. No Steven. So we'll try to get back to Steven coming up here in just a couple of seconds. But going back to the question that JR asked me a couple of minutes ago, when you think about this group, this team, maybe this is just where the new college football is located, right? I mean, when you think about it, because when he asked me the question, he said, okay, give me the players that you think are the up-and-coming guys. I mean, you could go a million different directions. I mean, not literally a million different directions, but you could go to the wide receivers. I mean, you could point out guys like Emmanuel Henderson. You could go, obviously, Ryan Williams has been a lot of guy that we've talked about. Xavier Brown's been a lot of guy. But how about a guy like Kendrick Law, who has a new role, right? He was a return specialist last year for Alabama. That's going to be a different role in this football team. When you think about the strength that he brings, when a guy that is, 5'11", 201, but he's also bench pressing 450-something pounds, Damani Jackson, a defensive back, and another individual from Modern Day High School, that powerhouse out in California, there in Santa Ana, where Bryce Young was from. Also Xavier Brown, as we said, from Modern Day. We've had a good pipeline, and it seems like that pipeline's not going anywhere. But you start going through these defensive backs. You go through the offensive line. You go through, Caden Proctor being lost a lot of weight. You think about, Parker Brailsford. There's your new player. Where would this team be without Parker Brailsford? And he's talking about a freshman All-American. JR, that is a freshman All-American who was a finalist for the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year Award. So you think about Parker Brailsford and you say, well, hold on, I don't know if I believe. Where do they list Parker at? 72, new weight, 275. I mean, that's a small center. But if you want to go believe in him, go and watch him take on Montez Sweat and that Bo Davis defensive front. Also, they got Tyler Booker at 352. Tyler Booker was quoted in the offseason of saying he was in the 330. So hold on a minute.
I got the updated one from today's.
Okay, what do they say Tyler Booker is at 52? What do they say at 52?
Number 52, Tyler Booker is listed at 325.
325? All right, they also they have Caden Proctor at 369. Isn't that where it is on the new one?
That is correct.
Okay. Where do they have Kendrick Law at number one? Number one, Kendrick Law.
209.
Okay. Could you imagine a guy that's 209 lifting 450, running the speed that he's running it? I mean, Kalen DeBoer out in Dallas was super, super excited about that. So, all these guys can control what they can control, and they've busted their butt to get ready to be in a spot.
That's like lifting Caden Proctor and a 40-pound weight.
Keon Keeley, 277, 6'5". Is that where he's listed at 277? 277? Yep. Man, look at the weight. I mean, you've got some smaller guys, but like LT Overton, 6'5", 265, transfer. So, JR, it's really hard just to isolate one of those questions because I could probably answer them a half a dozen different ways when you look at, these guys. I mean, there's going to be a lot of new faces, but I also think this is the new college football. I just think this is where it's at, right? It's the new college football from you got to count on players easier and quicker. You have to. If not, you're going to be left behind. I think that's where we're at in the world. Tim Smith is a guy that I'm not going to pick on anymore. If he doesn't show up, doesn't show up. I'm tired of talking about Tim Smith, and for some reason, now, what if this defensive staff is able to get that motor run? We've all seen the talent in Tim Smith. We just haven't seen it consistent enough. He's a graduate player, so he's not a senior. He's just a graduate player. So he's playing in his final eligibility. He has no more else left. He's used everything that you could use, and he needs everything. Listen, 6'4", 302, but could be a guy that could really step out. Jaheim Otis has now changed to a different number. Where is he listed on that 10? He's at 10. So Jaheim Otis going from 91 to 10. Where do they list him officially?
325.
Okay. And matter of fact, the old sheet, it was 320. So he's put on 5 pounds, a pretty solid muscle. Austin Mack, where is he at on the latest? He's at 10 also. He's a redshirt freshman that we saw pretty thin, but he's a taller guy. Where do they list him at?
236.
Okay, and he's up, he was a 6'6", 226-pound guy. That's a lot of, because you can see it in Austin Mack. If you go out to practice, he doesn't look like the same player at practice. So, David Ballou, we salute you, man. I mean, wow. To be able to put those weights on those guys. Ty Simpson's another guy that looks like he's busted his butt in the weight room. And listen, I'm not here trying to start a quarterback controversy. Jalen Milroe's your guy. But let's just say it this way. Ty Simpson has looked impressive. Austin Mack has looked impressive. Dylan Lonergan has looked impressive. When you think about the drills and Austin Mack, you know, I know that the staff was super, super high on him. He was a guy that, you know, followed Kalen DeBoer here. And, you know, we were talking about this with Mike Detillier. When you look at these quarterback whisper, there's just something about Kalen DeBoer's system that allows these quarterbacks to take this big next step. Will Jalen Milroe be able to do that? I think so. I think he's going to be more comfortable. And you also have to keep in mind, they're not in a situation. It's almost like A-Day. On one hand, you're not going to be able to bring down Jalen Milroe. He's going to make you miss. He's going to make you look crazy. He's going to split the angles. You know, just because they're doing a little two-hand touch or one-hand touch and they're shutting these guys down, Jalen Milroe's had a good camp as well. So even though you're saying, hey, Ty Simpson, Dylan Lonergan, Austin Mack, you feel comfortable about this quarterback room. But also another thing that I don't feel like we've talked enough about is the tight ends. Hey, Wyatt, let's go back to Kalen DeBoer asking about the tight ends, because I don't even feel like that. Have we even? I haven't touched on the tight ends. But when you look at Josh Cuevas, when you look at C.J. Dupree, when you look at Robbie Oates, this tight end room's pretty solid as well. And you've even got some younger players that maybe we just don't know enough about. But the tight end room, Kalen DeBoer was asked this on Sunday about how he can use these tight ends. I thought this was another solid comment, because I know they have some very special packages for these tight ends and some of these long formations. But just getting these guys involved, you see it all over the National Football League, how we use the tight ends. Let's listen to Kalen DeBoer talking about the tight ends and how they could be used in this offense.
They're critical, really critical. One tight end, two tight ends. They give us extra gaps in the run game. They can help us in protection. They're guys that can stretch the field. They've made some big plays that way. They got to know the whole offense, because they know the protections, the routes, the run blocking schemes. And so, they're all really smart guys that have caught on quickly, and all the moving pieces we want to do with them, we haven't held back at all. So it's a critical piece to our offense. It always has, going back 20 plus years. Having that guy that isn't just controlling the middle of the field, but can get vertical, stress you to the sidelines. So both a vertical and a horizontal stretch, really important, not just in our run game, but our pass game.
You hear that? Tight ends. How many years have we been screaming for the tight ends? Go back to O.J. Howard. How many times did we watch him explode on Clemson? Multiple times. You want to see O.J. Howard type? You think about those players in a system that really didn't feature the tight end, and not just taking away from what Kalen DeBoer said, but he said, we're going to use 1-2 formation tight ends. I saw in multiple plays, now I'm not saying they'll do that here at Alabama, but you go back and you study the UW tape, they'll use 3 tight ends on the same play. And they'll stack those guys. So you even become, listen, Tennessee beat us a couple of years ago with a stack. Now you add another dimension to it from triple tight ends out there. Whew, man, get those guys isolated on a smaller player, whether it's a linebacker or, in that slot. But then also to be able to test it, he said vertically and horizontally. Big size, C.J. Dupree. How much are those guys sitting there smiling ear to ear with the excitement to be able to, oh, wow, this is pretty awesome to be able to feature in the offense. But one player got called something. I think you're going to like it. And we'll do that coming up in 3 minutes in Tuscaloosa. Josh from College Football Nerds. We're going to talk about the tight ends. We're going to talk about Alabama's defense and a lot more. I do remind you about DCH Health System. For over 90 years have been serving West Alabama. Regional Medical Center on University Boulevard. Fayette Medical Center, Northport Fayette Medical Center. It is DCHHealthSystem.com. Great things are happening at DCH. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Rumsey Environmental, a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs. If you're in the construction business, take a little bit of stress out of your life. The construction debris removal containers customized to fit your job site, the portable toilet service, the storage containers to protect your valuables. It's Rumsey Environmental for that complete waste removal service when you have to know.
Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last, discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Don Wallace CPA, 527 Main Avenue in downtown Northport. Small business and personal income taxes, payroll, sales tax needs. They can also help you with nonprofit or church accounting or auditing. In business since 1999, they work for you, not the IRS. When you take on taxes, you got to have someone on your side. It's Don Wallace.
Really want to know what it's like to run with us? You just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A hot summer afternoon. The sky sunny. The high today 96. Clear tonight, the low 73. Tomorrow sunny with a high at 98. Thursday and Friday, the sky sunny both days. Highs between 93 and 96. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide.
From Cowboys football nerds, I've got a lot of questions, probably a dozen questions that I want to get to, and one of those is about the tight end and how that can be a mismatch at the defensive side of the football. But when you talk about simple, is simple better? Is complex better? We're going to talk about the defensive side of the football. He's got some opinions that we'll share. 4-2-5 defense. Alabama goes from a 4-2-5, and they're using all different types, whether it's bandit or wolf or all these different things. But when you look at the edge and the outside linebacker, regardless of what you call it, putting pressure on the quarterback, listen here closely to the way that Kane Womack described one of those guys. I mean, the JR, this would be a question right here. I mean, this is a question right here. Listen to here. And I mean, he said newcomers. I'm just leaving out all kind of players. I mean, I could literally probably list 20 players that we probably didn't think would be able to make an impact. I could probably get close. I mean, Red Morgan's another guy, new player. I mean, there's you a guy when you talk about being an impact. But listen to the way that he described Quay Russo.
I think Quay has taken such a leap from playing, out of high school, we played the inside linebacker position to now, playing the outside linebacker position in a new system this spring. I think he's made a huge jump in just the confidence level that he's playing with right now. And so when you look at him, I just think he's starting to produce and make a lot more plays because he has confidence in what he's doing. Physically, I mean, we use the term freak around here, right? But when you talk about him, I mean, that guy is truly freaky in terms of his strength and athleticism and speed. And so, he is starting to play with that confidence that we need out of that position.
Yeah. Why on the number 4? He wears the number 4. They list him at 242 back in the spring at 6'2", 242. At number 4, what do they have him now at?
251.
I should tell you a lot about this football team. Every number that I have thrown at you, because you have the updated roster, I've got it in a car. I've got the old roster here as far as weight sizes. It's just something that we use here in the studio. But, I mean, that tells you a lot about the work ethic of this football team. I mean, everybody that I've asked you about has been up inside. I mean, he's from 242 to, 250?
251.
251.
So 9 pounds.
But, I mean, it's 9 pounds of not, where I go out here and eat a cheeseburger and, I'm at 4 pounds heavier than what I was yesterday. No. I mean, this is quality weight. So, what a term, a freak. He's a freak. You like that, especially trying to replace 2 guys who got out to the quarterback with Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell. So, listen to those guys. And then also we've got some audio from Coleman Hitchler, too, because you're talking about one of the best safety coaches in the country. He's here in Tuscaloosa and a great recruiter as well. We'll dive into this. Josh from College Football Nerds, and we'll go back to phone calls coming up in a couple of minutes. We are always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. I want to remind you about DanielMooreArt.com. DanielMooreArt.com. Celebrate that special Alabama fan in your life, whether it's 4th and 31, Jalen Milroe to Isaiah Bond, whether it's the legacy continues. Compliments. Everybody that I've talked to that received that print, they're literally blown away. You can still find it, but hey, they're going quickly. They've still got several editions to choose from, but that won't be for long. Just like that Nick Saban print that we talked about. It's gone, right? Sold out. You can get limited edition canvases, but the artist canvas, but the typical prints that you see, those are gone. So you can find them at DanielMooreArt.com. Remember the code word, the game. Code word, the game. You'll find it at DanielMooreArt.com. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
Information. Contact us at 205-333-0231 or visit behwater.biz.
Alabama Credit Union with the official countdown to Alabama Crimson Tide football right here on the game, alabamacu.com. The mobile app saves a lot of time. The mobile deposits, checking, savings, mortgage, home equity loan, financing a vehicle, the great competitive rates. Alabama Credit Union with great...
Conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Isaac Lowencroft.
San Francisco 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan says that star running back Christian McCaffrey has a calf strain and is likely to be held out of practice for a couple of weeks. ESPN reports the 49ers are now willing to listen to trade offers for star receiver Brandon Ayuk, have already received interest from the Patriots and Browns, and this afternoon re-engaged in discussions with the Steelers. At the Olympics, the U.S. men's basketball team has a 52-36 lead over Brazil with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left to play in the second quarter in their quarterfinal round game. The U.S. women's soccer team won its semifinal match over Germany in extra time 1-0. Track and field, American Gabrielle Thomas won gold in the women's 200 meters. American Cole Hocker won the gold medal in the men's 1500 meters.
I got spirit, I got faith. I might bend, but I won't break. I'll fight the elements. And I'ma go down swinging. If I go down, I'ma go down swinging. If I go down, I'ma go down swinging. If I go down.
All right, we are 25 days away. There's been some great players that have worn the 25. Rolando McClain, a guy that made an impact pretty quickly. Derek Lassick, the 1992 Sugar Bowl MVP that took down the Miami Hurricanes. Thank you, Derek Lassick, wearing that 25. Yes, sir, absolutely. What a great season that was. Like I said, Rolando McClain, but there's been many others when you look at 25 days away. 25 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. We are always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyline Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. Let's take more phone calls coming up here in about 15 to 20 minutes. We'll do those at 205-342-9904. We're getting to Josh from College Football Nerds, collegefootballnerds.com. CFB Nerds on the Twitter account. Find him on YouTube. Find him on the great website. Hey, Josh, I hope all is well. Welcome back to T-Town.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Hey, man, I can't wait. I mean, here we are. We're 25 days away. This week, we will be 3 weeks away from an Alabama perspective here in Tuscaloosa, but 2 weeks away from college football if you're looking at week 0.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. We're getting excited to ramp up, put some videos out there. We've done some stuff with College Football 25. We actually just did recorded a video, I'll spoil it, with R.J. Young, where we played him, had a conversation. We're going to try to get more people like that.
I like R.J. I like R.J.
Yeah.
High energy.
Yeah, it's high energy, has some interesting takes, but, it's fun. We've known him since before he was associated with Fox doing YouTube stuff, because we go back with a lot of those guys, Josh Pate and others. We're all part of the same community. And, just play college football 25 and just talk football while you're doing it. Kind of an entertaining thing for us to do, and I think it's fun for people to watch.
Taking it from an Alabama perspective, if we go to your website, we've talked a lot. We try to feature you about once a month during the off season, but then, when season gets here, we'd love to be able to feature you again. Hopefully, we can find a day that's compatible for you and us both. But when you look at it from an Alabama perspective, 5 days in, anything grab you from Alabama's practice?
I think the most notable thing to me is from what I've been able to tell from the depth charts, it seems like some of the young players are making a pretty early impact. Now, I'll say I just finished doing my sort of deep dive research on Alabama specifically.
Okay.
And I went back and did some research on Womack and his schemes, and maybe we can talk about that in a minute, dating back from Indiana and South Alabama. But, one of the big things that's striking about that defense is it is simplified in a lot of ways. And I don't think it's necessarily surprising that you hear, Xavier Brown, a 5-star freshman, and Mbakwe, the big 5-star from Central Alabama that are, making a run of the depth chart. You hear Russell, the freshman, making a name for himself and trying to get in the rotation on the edge. For years in Tuscaloosa, the best thing and the worst thing about it is that defense was complicated. It was hard for opposing quarterbacks to understand, but it was also hard for DBs to understand. And when Alabama had experienced, talented secondary guys like they had, at corner last year, had 2 phenomenal experienced corners, their pass defense was outstanding. And then you had other years, 2010 was a big example where they had phenomenally talented corners, right? You had guys like Drake or Patrick at cornerback, but they were new and they didn't understand the scheme. And in that scheme, it was hard for young players to be very effective. I think that problem is going to flip on its head, and you may see a lot more young guys with a lot of talent making a bigger impact early because of the differences in scheme. That seems to be something tracking with what I'm seeing out of camp.
All right, so it's kind of funny that you've taken me down this, because I was just listening to Colin Hitchler a couple of minutes ago, because I asked him direct. I mean, this is the great thing about, we're not getting Nick Saban every 4 days. We're getting all these coaches like every day. I mean, we're getting defensive coaches, offensive coaches. And I ask about the simple thing because we are seeing a lot of it. And I almost wonder if the simple is allowing these players to get on the field. But in the world that we live in, with the depth is an issue, you have to count on players quicker and earlier than maybe we've done in the years past. If this system doesn't match up better with college football than being so complex that it takes a Marlon Humphrey 2 years to ever get on the football field. And then we lose him, year number 3, and you waste a redshirt.
I think there's probably a strong argument for it, right? Nick Saban got his start, what they call pattern match, his cover 6 scheme, when he was up there at Cleveland. He's, with Bill Belichick. And that was a very effective defense in the NFL. Why don't people use it in the NFL? Because they don't. No one uses it. And the answer is, in the modern NFL, with free agency, with these guys coming out of college, you need people to be able to start immediately. And you can't have somebody come over from another organization and transfer, become a free agent, sign with you in fall camp, and immediately start and learn a pattern match scheme overnight. It takes a couple of years. In the same way, you can't rely on rookies taking 2 to 3 years to be able to enter your rotation. So now that college football is becoming more pro-like, I think you're seeing the same problem, right? Last year, early in the year, you had a true freshman in Caleb Downs. You had a transfer, Jalen Key, at safety for Alabama. And if you go back and watch that Texas tape, it's actually kind of painful how many times Alabama just busts coverage. And the thing is, like, Caleb Downs, I think Caleb Downs, when he's a junior, he's going to be the best safety in the country. But last year, as a true freshman, he wasn't. You could tell he's one of the most athletic safeties in the country, but even in that Michigan game, there was a big 4th and 2 where I think he busted coverage again out of the pattern match scheme, gave up a first down, and they went down the field. And so you've got guys like Downs. Brian Branch was this way at Alabama. He didn't play a ton his first 2 years, rotated with Malachi Moore, who I think Moore is a little faster to pick up the scheme. Branch was certainly a more talented player, as you can tell right now, how he's doing with the Lions, right? It holds back some of these guys from coming in, making a huge impact. And I think that's a real problem when you're relying on a lot of one-year transfers and a lot of the guys you want to bring in out of high school now. not only do you only have them for 3 years, but if you don't start them in year 1 or year 2, they're just going to leave. And so I think it's kind of necessary. But I'll go a step further, Ryan, and I'll say a lot of this, I think, is an evolution of the way offensive football has worked. The pros have simplified a lot of their defensive schemes the last couple of years, and they found ways to complicate it with certain wrinkles. But what you see a lot is simplicity on the back end and complication in the front. And what I mean by that is, Womack, I think to the average viewer, the average Alabama fan, they're going to see a 4-2-5 defense, and it's going to look the same. But in terms of all the assignments of everybody on the field, it's almost totally different. The guys in the front seven actually are going to have a much more complicated blitz scheme in many ways than they had previously, because they're going to do a lot of stuff with time blitzes. They're going to have guys delayed blitz from the second level, trigger blitzes that Alabama didn't always do. And the reason they do that is those linebackers used to have really complicated coverage responsibilities, and it was all tied in with the corners. And we don't have, it would take hours to explain, but it would be things like if the tight end releases and he goes an out route, the linebacker has to point to the safety and tell the safety that he's rolling off. Only if there's a receiver that runs deep, then the linebacker has to know that he's got to cover it. Like the linebackers had so much going on where they had to coordinate with the corners, and that meant a lot of other stuff had to be simple because the linebackers can't do all that in blitz at the same time, right? That's how you end up with Will Anderson out in coverage constantly. So I think you'll see, basically Alabama's going to be really aggressive. They're going to attack the line of scrimmage. The defensive linemen are going to stop trying to hold the line of scrimmage. They're going to be more about trying to get tackles for loss. And the whole point on the back end is you're going to have a bunch of secondary players that they're going to have a focus with having their eyes in the backfield. They're going to drop way more into zone, and it's going to say, look, if we can get our athletes to the quarterback and force a bad throw, we're going to have DB sitting there watching the quarterback to catch an interception. That's going to be the goal of the defense. And with those RPO schemes where, if you sit back on your heels and you let them run the play, they torch you. It's a lot smarter to be aggressive and try to force a mistake than sit on your heels. And this is the way Georgia's scheme works right now. It's very much kind of an on-the-heels defense. And what do you see when they play Bryce Young in Alabama, right? They got lit up. You can't, no matter how big you are, how physical you are, how talented you are, you let a good passing defense or passing offense throw the ball on their own time, on their own rhythm, they're going to torch you. And so it's just a very different philosophy.
Wow. There's so many different areas that I can go with this question. I was talking to an analyst a couple days ago, and an analyst from the college football, not on the field, not now, because now that's such a value. I mean, you could take the UW analyst, Chuck Morrell, and put him as an inside linebacker guy here, and he could coach. Now, he may not be able to do things in the game, but he can get you guys ready, and he knows linebackers. He's a specialist at those, and Kane even talked about it today. Kane Womack said, what a luxury that you can bring an analyst and a quality that was a defensive coordinator at a Power 5 team last year that made the national championship game, and you can put him as linebacker. But one of the questions that this analyst was telling me, he's like, every time I go to – because he floats all over the SEC. I said, well, what are you hearing from Alabama? He said, everybody wants to know, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? Alabama's not going to be predictable like they have been under Coach Saban.
Yeah, it's interesting because over time, like Saban's defense has changed. And I think people maybe know this, maybe they don't fully understand it.
Okay.
They were a 3-4 base defense from basically 2007 really up until 2013, 2014. When the RPO came up, when Auburn had the real run, after the Cam Newton years, around the Nick Marshall years, Alabama made a shift. And in that time period, it was something of a predictable defense. But, when they were in their base defense and they could run, base schemes or playing more teams that just had 2 wide receivers, they were really effective. But what happened was something called the RPO and the zone read that became really prominent together in college football. And you saw those defenses sometimes really struggle. The kick six game, for example, Alabama really struggled in that game, as I recall, defending the edges. And then they played Oklahoma in the bowl game. I have always maintained that 2013 Alabama-Oklahoma game was not actually that much of a fluke because they had trouble all year with teams that would run laterally on them or throw a lot of receiver screens. That's what Oklahoma's whole offense was. It was just something they hadn't faced. And I think that was kind of the last straw that caused Saban to realize he needed to make a shift. They became more of a nickel defense, meaning 4-2-5, 4 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. So you go from 4 linebackers down really to just 2. And that's where they were at for several years. But then that kind of, late around 2016, 2017, 2018, they got figured out. And Pete Golding was finally brought in to say, hey, how can we modernize the offense while still keeping this Nick Saban pattern match scheme thing? And I won't get into the gritty details of it other than to say that a lot of his innovations had to do with taking outside linebackers like Will Anderson or Daniel Turner and saying, hey, when a tight end releases or running back releases, we're going to have the outside linebacker take care of that. And for complicated reasons, just understand they kind of had to do that in order to be sound defensively because somebody had to cover that guy. And if it wasn't the outside linebacker, nobody else was really in any position to do it. The problem, I think, is that worked for a couple years, but it had some really big flaws. And teams, especially Lane Kiffin and Heupel, figured out what those flaws were, and they basically abused it. It took about 2.5 years for people to say, hey, this scheme has a real problem. And it basically was they figured out if you do certain things, you can make Alabama put Will Anderson in coverage. You can make Alabama put Turner in coverage. And Dallas Turner is not the same cover guy that he is a pass rusher. And they got lit up. So Saban again evolved, hired Steele, kind of reverted to what they used to be. And I think, I think these changes are good, but I think they're good especially because I think a lot of what Saban had done and had built was going to have to be really rebuilt from the studs. I think with all these changes in college football, both from personnel and also from offensive scheme, it just didn't necessarily work anymore. And I guarantee you, knowing who Nick Saban is and how smart he is, he probably knew that he needed to rebuild his scheme from the ground up. And at some level, it probably was a part of his decision to say, hey, do I want to keep coaching another 3 years, completely reinvent everything I want to do? Or is this the time that I need to hand the baton to somebody and say, hey, times have changed. I'm going to let somebody else that's already figured this out take it and run with it. And, I'm going to go play golf in Florida.
Josh, is there any way that you could do 2 segments?
Sure.
Okay, because, I'm getting, you would not believe the crazy response that I'm getting, this is awesome, this is offense. So I don't want to hurry this because I want to spend some time on the offensive side of the football because I think there's a lot of different elements to this that we can discuss. But let me look at the defensive line, and we'll kind of break this. We'll do defense here, then I'll break. We'll come back, we'll do the offense. Let me ask you on the defensive front because there's a lot of bodies over there, but they also need – that dynamic guy that can occupy space, but also requires some special attention, whether that's chipping or, double teaming, just requiring some extra attention. Is there somebody over there that you could be, this guy might be a candidate on that defensive front? When you look at it, it's deep. A lot of, probably the most talent they've had in quite a while on that front when you look at total numbers. Is there somebody over there that you like that could be, that guy that could step up and be that dominant defensive line that Alabama has been accustomed to the last 15, 16, 17 years?
Well, I think as any SEC fan knows, the biggest luxury you can have is a great defensive line, right? And I think the biggest luxury this coaching staff has is they have a few guys that are really quite good. Keenan last year really came on for Alabama, got a touch banged up, but he was a very effective player all year. I'm sure he'll take another step forward, and that's a great anchor in the middle of the line. I actually felt like early in the year, Jaheim Otis was actually their best lineman. Now, the problem for Otis is he has not been healthy either of the last 2 years for the entirety of the year. He's missed games both years. He's played injured when he came back. I don't know what his status is, but that's a guy, if you were to talk about one of the great dark horses in the SEC, especially for Alabama, he's high on my list as somebody that I think kind of got forgotten because he did play banged up and missed so much time last year. But I think, when properly healthy, he's a guy that's going to have the potential to be, if not first team, a second team All-SEC kind of player. And then around him, you get guys like Q Robinson, their outside linebacker. That's a 5-star player that would have started probably at 115 teams around the country last year. He just happened to be behind, another in a trio of 5-star top shelf outside linebacker pass rushers. So that front in Alabama, the starting front's excellent. And what makes it so effective is it's not just the starting front. Behind them, You have the transfer Overton from Texas A&M. You have Tim Smith that's been there for years. You've got a former 5-star guy like DeMan Payne. They have a 5-star freshman in James Smith. Latham, who's been there for years. I'm running through the roster. It's deep. So anytime you've got a front four that's that talented and that deep, man, it can make a lot of other things look better for sure.
So when you look at the defense, is there any chance, Josh, we have underestimated this defense ability? I know that, I was sitting beside Damani Jackson today. He brought him into the media room. Now, I'm saying, okay, now listen, I haven't seen him, live action, full pads, but I know when they bring players in, they generally trust them. You mentioned Tim Keenan. They brought him in today. He was on a main podium. He was the main podium, where they put Malachi Moore and Deontay Lawson, those type of players. But Damani Jackson, a transfer from USC, that brings experience, and he's a guy that is kind of counted on to be a veteran. So that they've got a lot of dudes that maybe we underestimated this team on the defensive side.
I think there are probably some that are, but here's the deal, right? When you talk about Alabama, and it's pretty simple. That front seven that Alabama has is one of the best units in the country, period. It is one of the best units in the country. It's a lot of returning experience. It's a lot of depth. They have multiple starter caliber players at all levels, meaning they can take an injury or two and they won't actually see a significant drop off. The question is entirely that secondary. You don't know who's going to start. We still don't know who's going to even start on it. It may start one or two true freshmen at corner, which is usually not a great thing in the SEC. Malachi Moore is an experienced player, but has not regularly played safety. Saab is a guy that has played some at Michigan, but isn't a full-time starter, now starting at the other safety position. Damani Jackson has his struggles at SC. So everywhere you look, there's a question mark. But the way I put it is, I think some people are really underrating the fact that Alabama's front seven is solved. That's a good unit. We know they're going to be a good unit. And the back seven is just a question. We don't know that they're bad. We don't know that they're good. And so Alabama's defense could be phenomenal if that back group gels and they play at a high level. And they could also be merely good, I would say, if they're not. Because I think that front seven is not going to let them be anything less than good. But if that back group doesn't gel well, there's going to be a limit at how great they can be. But there's just no way any of us are going to know until the season starts. And there's a very real chance that those players, which again, you got 5-stars all over the field there. What is it, like 4 or 5 of them? And that secondary competing for roles. If they do step up and gel in a system that again is a lot simpler and a lot easier for a new player to gel in, this could be a defense that ends up being substantially better than probably some people think.
We're talking to Josh from collegefootballnerds.com. Josh, let's stop right here. We'll come back and we'll talk about the offensive side of the football, but I want to do this because I'm getting so many people that are asking about the website. How can they get more from collegefootballnerds.com, the YouTube channel, all the above?
Yeah, you can follow us at CFB Nerds on Twitter. We usually post when we have new content there. On YouTube, we're College Football Nerds, and we have a website, collegefootballnerds.com. It's a major stat website, so during the season, we'll have stat rankings of players. We'll have game summaries. We also do modeling. We have a computer model where you actually have the ability to go in and pick any team and model them against any other team to see how that comes out. Now, the way we run it's kind of a AI thing, but it takes a few weeks to build enough data, so probably that part won't launch until about week 4. But you can go to collegefootballnerds.com and sign up. It's completely free. And then as that comes online, you'll be able to play with all the fun stat wizardry that we have online there.
It is Josh from collegefootballnerds.com, CFB Nerds on the Twitter account. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the dynamics of this Alabama offense under Kalen DeBoer. How far can this offense go in 2024? We'll do that next with Josh from College Football Nerds right here on the game. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom
Northport's Big Lot Discount Department Store is one of 315 underperforming locations that will be closed nationwide. The announcement is part of the company's filing with the Security and Exchange Commission. According to first quarter quarterly results, the retailer has seen sales decline by $114 million in the first quarter of 2024. Malachi Moore and Jalen Milroe have been named to the Walter Camp watch list. Follow these stories and more at TuscaloosaThread.com.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters. Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, a very good Tuesday afternoon to you. We are pretty much light on traffic with the exception of a couple of problems on the way out. So we had an accident on McFarland westbound at 15th Street, and that's all cleared. Now, 2059 westbound at 359. Taking a look at that.
So you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America N.A. Copyright 2024.
For over 5 years in our community in downtown Northport under that Roll Tide Bridge, Mark's Mark, the home of the chicken swirl. You'll find that since 1978 in Selma, Alabama, for over 5 years in downtown Northport. If you want to dominate the grill today or any day, find Mark's Mark. A great stop by on your way home. If you're preparing for dinner, they've got a lot of those gourmet dishes that you can find, the great casseroles, the dips, the appetizers, the great steaks, the pork chops, the burgers, and all the supplies you need to dominate the
46 or visit oxhomeservices.com. Don't sweat it. Let us handle the heat. Ox Home Services, your trusted partner in home comfort.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A hot summer afternoon. The sky sunny. The high today 96. Clear tonight. The low 73. Tomorrow sunny with a high at 98. Thursday and Friday the sky sunny both days. Highs between 93 and 96. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Where the legends of Alabama football hang out.
McCarron, draw play. Lacy, huge hole.
Now listen, we're not giving Josh, any crazy walk-up music. This is music that we hear inside practice when we're there. This is stuff that we hear literally on the practice field. So we're trying to share some of the vibe that they're having out there, maybe to work on the Sports Talk Radio side of things. Josh, let's continue our conversation, man. Always appreciate you, man, so much. I mean, you get a lot of great compliments. Let's go to the offensive side of the football. Under Kalen DeBoer, give me what you expect, and we're going to dive into some kind of meat and potatoes of this offensive side of the ball. I can't hear Josh. Josh, let's try this again here. Josh.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, my apologies.
Yeah, no worries. They're just, yeah. Yeah, every time I go in a grocery store, I just assume the music is walk-up music for me, so you don't have to stroke my ego.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right, so offensively with Kalen DeBoer, this is more interesting to me because DeBoer's scheme, like a lot of great offensive minds, has changed depending on what player he's had. I mean, he's had years dating back to his time at Sioux Falls where the quarterback's his leading rusher. So the first thing I will say is I won't be surprised if there's a much greater emphasis on Milroe as a runner than what they had last year. And a lot of what you have to do in evaluating Alabama, I think, is really, to be fair, you have to ask the question of how much did they hamstring themselves offensively last year? And this is always a big point I make with players or with coaches in any school, which, we make it on our channel. A lot of national pundits won't say this because it's not overly positive. But you have to ask the question of who did you lose, right? And how well did you use your team last year? If you got a team that lost a bunch of players that seemed like they weren't that good and they all went first, second round, were all superstars defensively, that probably says a little something about your coaching staff and your scheme. And I'll be honest, a couple of years ago, Alabama, who had a bunch of secondary players that slid in the draft that all ended up being NFL starters, probably wasn't a great testament from where they were at from a scheme and coaching perspective. But the flip side, I think, maybe is a little true offensively for Alabama in that I don't think that they've done a great job of utilizing their offensive resources the past few years. So just from a starting point, if you don't think Bill O'Brien or Tommy Rees were great offensive coordinators who do a good job with that talent, it does mean necessarily, right, that if somebody comes in that is a good coordinator, there's that much more room for improvement, right? You haven't really gotten all that much juice out of that orange. And so if you squeeze, you're probably going to get a lot more versus maybe if you were replacing a coaching staff that had done a better job. And in that regard, this is what I'll say. I think Tommy Rees is a good offensive coordinator, but the scheme they ran last year was a scheme that was best suited to have like a 5th or 6th year quarterback that was a highly efficient passer in a play action passing game. Somebody, I think an example might be somebody like Stetson Bennett. That was an offense designed to have somebody that knew pre-snap, post-snap, where his read was at all time. It was a game manager-oriented pro-style attack. And instead, they started the season with a guy who, was his first career start. Nothing wrong with that. It's just who he is. But who is a phenomenal athlete with a phenomenal arm. And you could tell they didn't really know what to do with him. And, when you look at a lot of opposing defenses these days, there are a lot of different schemes out there. There are a lot of different approaches. And the thing that everybody's kind of struggled with right now is the dynamic passing offense, right? Alabama's struggles have been with Tennessee offensively. They've struggled a little bit sometimes with Auburn. It's because defensively, Saban's scheme, it was sort of a passive scheme. It had issues with aggressive offenses like Tennessee and Auburn. It was actually very good against Georgia. And now everything's flipping on its head. Teams are gearing themselves more to defend Tennessee and Auburn and less against Georgia. I think you're going to see the same, by the way, with Alabama defensively. I think you're going to see them be a lot better against Auburn and Tennessee during the season. But I think you may also see them struggle a little more with Georgia because of the differences in scheme. And Alabama needs to flip to the same thing everybody else is. They've got to get more aggressive. They've got to take more downfield shots. They've got to use more RPO. And, the same way that Tennessee's hurt them, they need to turn around and hurt everybody else. And I think that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see them spread the field more. Instead of having plays where it seems like the ball should have gone short, but Milroe threw it deep and it worked. I think you're going to see plays where it was always designed to go deep. You're going to see a lot more plays where they make direct use of Milroe's legs, right? Where his legs are a part of the offense. And I think that's going to really suit who they are right now as a football team.
You think Jalen Milroe can work and be efficient in this offense?
Look, any quarterback can work and be inefficient in an offense if it's designed for them and they have the pieces around them. I mean, the biggest thing that Alabama has as a luxury is that they have an offensive line that should be one of the better units in college football. Probably will have the best interior offensive line in the country. They should have a very good running back core. This is one area where I will say Alabama, I think, is pretty underrated from a national perspective. I think those backup tailbacks who played a ton last year in Miller and Haynes are probably going to turn out to be one of the better duos in the country, period. And if you can run the ball well, especially run the ball in the interior, suddenly you don't have to be a quarterback managing everything. You can be a quarterback throwing on play action. And I'll add, last year, the way that team was built, it was really obvious to me that coaching staff went into the season thinking we are going to be a run first down, run second down, throw on third down if we have to offense. And the offensive line did not deliver that. They had problems at tackle early in the year. They had some issues with the offensive line until they had kind of got it settled with Jaden Roberts, the right guard. They obviously had snap issues all year, so they were not, in 3rd and 3 all that often. They had way too many 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9. And so we can talk all we want about being aggressive and throwing downfield and what Milroe needs to do, but I think the question is, what does Milroe have to do? Because I think this offense is going to be based around getting the ball out fast, throwing wide receiver screens, throwing quick passes to the tight end, running the ball more and probably more effectively, and letting Milroe throw as a luxury rather than a requirement. And if Milroe is a play-action passer, he's throwing deep shots when it's a luxury to throw him, I think he can be extremely effective because he's an accurate deep ball thrower. He's a good athlete. He can make those passes, and some of those passes are passes that other guys can't make, and suddenly you can be an explosive offense. But if you're in a situation where you need Milroe to throw first down, second down, third down, and the other team knows it's coming, they got their ears pinned back, that clock starts speeding up a lot faster, and I think then that's when you may see them struggle. So I know it's kind of a roundabout way to answer, but I think the answer for Milroe is, can they run the ball? Because if the answer is yes, I think Milroe can be a really good quarterback. And if the answer is no, and he's got to throw the ball, then I think a lot of the places where he needs to improve are going to show.
Let me ask you about the tight end position because if you go back and study UW's offense from the last couple of years, they use multiple tight end packages on a lot of different plays. It seems like maybe that's an undervalued unit as well. We really haven't spent a ton of time talking about it, but you got some talent, whether it's C.J. Dupree or Robert Utes or Josh Cuevas, the transfer from UW, but also a pretty good list of, the Ty Haywoods and Danny Lewis Jr. is another guy that we really spend a lot talking about, but a tight end room is pretty deep too.
It is, and they have, I don't know if it's depth or the type of body they have. They moved that 5-star tight end, Caleb Odom, to receiver. One of the modern trends in football, and we saw it 2020 Florida is the first one in recent years that comes to mind for me, is if you've got guys at tight end that are able to be effective as pass catchers and as blockers, you can really play havoc with the defense in terms of knowing what's coming and knowing how to line up. And here's the problem. This is one of the big things I've often pointed out about those quote-unquote great Auburn teams, in 2010, 2013. A big key to those teams where they had tight ends, one named Uzomah, who's been in the NFL forever, and Fultz, that really made a lot of that stuff work. And the reason was they would come out, and if you were in a set that was determined to stop the run and you were going to stop Cam Newton from running up the middle, they would say, fine, we're going to move Uzomah or Lutzer Kirchen out wide, and we're just going to throw the ball because you got everybody in the box. And now we're going to take your slow inside linebacker, and we're going to watch Lutzer Kirchen or Uzomah, beat him for a 15-yard pass. And if you said, okay, well, we're getting beat by the pass, let's put an extra defensive back out there. They go, okay, great. Now we're going to move Uzomah in line, and we're going to run it over your 190-pound nickel corner for an 8-yard gain, and we're going to do that over and over again, and we're not going to let you substitute. So that's the big thing, I think. It's really – it all comes down to the fact that defenses aren't allowed to substitute freely anymore, right? The offense sets the tempo. If they want to run hurry up, they can. And if you got tight ends as an offense, well, you can split that tight end out, and you can be a 3-wide set with a tight end, or you can be a 2-wide set with a tight end in line, and you can switch from running power to running spread passing attacks with the same personnel, snap to snap. But at the same time, the defense really wants to have two different sets of personnel, right? If you're 3-wide, they want to be a nickel. If you're 2-wide, they want to be in their base. And so whatever they pick, whatever set of guys they get out there as offensive coordinator, I'm just going to do the opposite so they're wrong. And that's really the big advantage of tight ends, especially in college, is it lets you sort of rush the line, run hurry up, but just basically whatever the defense is lined up in, you're just going to do the opposite. You're going to make sure they're wrong at all times. And that's why a lot of the better offensive coordinators, Dan Mullen, and certainly DeBoer is one of them, they like to use a lot of tight ends because it gives you such an edge, especially in college where the substitution rules are really, really hard on defenses.
Josh, we'll end it there, man. I could probably go another 2 hours with you, but CFB Nerds on the Twitter account, collegefootballnerds.com, collegefootballnerds.com. Find it on the YouTube channel. The breakdowns are comprehensive. We learn a lot every time we visit. Josh, I say thank you for the complete breakdown of the Alabama football team. We didn't even talk about anybody else. We spent 40 minutes, and we could probably double that, and we still wouldn't have got everything in. But we'll catch up hopefully before college football season. Then we'll get back to a regular rotation. I appreciate you, man, as always.
Well, thanks for having me, Ryan. And, this is, for better or worse, this is who we are. If you ever watch our stuff on YouTube, be it a team preview or we do just a handful of game previews each week, this is what we do. We'll talk for 40 minutes to an hour and hopefully give you a lot of detail about each team that doesn't repeat itself too much. So I appreciate you having me on.
Let me ask one quick question, because this kind of comes with our offensive defensive breakdown. Do you think this is going to be an Alabama team that's going to have to outscore people to beat them, or do you think this defense is going to be enough that you're not going to put too much pressure on the offensive side of the football? That was a question from the audience.
Well, the first lawyerly answer is I don't know.
Sure.
It goes back to how good the secondary is. I think at worst, this is an offense that might have to score some points, outscore people to win in their biggest game. Now, let me put it this way. I think they can make the playoff without having to outscore people to win. There are probably 9 to 10 games on this calendar that they're going to be able to get through, and the defense is going to be good enough that they don't end up in a shootout. If the secondary has issues, there's probably going to be 3 or 4 games where they got to have a shootout, right? And you're going to have to win one of them. But if the defense gels, that may not happen. Or there's usually one game a year that gets weird. So I don't think this is a team that's going to have to score to win on a regular basis. But the question whether this is a national title team or not, let's put it that way, is when they play a top team, are they going to have to score to win? And I think that's really the question with the secondary, right, is when they play a Texas or when they play a Georgia, are they going to be in a score-to-win situation? And, you know, they can lose to Georgia this year in the 12-team playoff and make it. You know, they probably are going to make it if they go 9-3 with this schedule. Realistically, historically, 9-3 is the bar for them to make the playoff. But the difference between 9-3 and national champions is pretty big.
Josh, thank you again. Have a great rest of your day, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you.
That was awesome. That was incredible. One of the as I was looking at my phone and I was getting text messages, Twitter messages. You know, if you get a chance, send that to somebody. That is a lot of comprehensive breakdown from Josh from collegefootballnerds.com. He's one of our most popular guests during college football season. We feature him every week. You know, when you look at it from our perspective, we love to be able to pick his brain. Find him on the YouTube side of things, CFB Nerds on the Twitter side of things. We're going to continue. We'll take your phone calls next. T-Town, Tide, 100.9, 1230.
Through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Got a plan to get us out of here, been working at the convenience store. Managed to save just a little bit of money.
You know, coming up at 5 o'clock, we'll run through the credentials, and I've been saying 18 for more years than I really choose to. I'd love to be able to say 19. You know, one of the reasons why I'd love to see this Alabama team win this year, right, to be able to win this year, is I'd love to be able to see the meltdown. I'd love to be able to see the meltdown because so many people counted Alabama out, right? And we were one of the first host that said, hey, hold on a minute. Hold on. Whoa. Hold on. And I know, listen, I'm not expecting everybody to get here at the same time, but the arrival has been a little bit delayed. You've got more people and more people and more people are starting to go, okay, hold on. Whoa. When you look at this, I'd love to see the rest of the league, just from an Alabama perspective, have a complete meltdown. And who knows if they can win the SEC. Who knows if they can win a national title? But if they can be there, they could be that team that even shows that, hey, this team is not going anywhere. That they're not going to be this team that just drifts away and, you know, becomes the new, I don't know, down year. I wasn't even going to use Auburn, but I mean, heck, that's like the floor across the state. But let's take phone calls. 205-342-9904. Stephen, Raleigh, North Carolina. Stephen, good afternoon. You're in the game. Hope all is well.
Roll Tide, Ryan. How are you doing?
Oh, good, man. Life is good, man. No complaints here.
How does it feel to be a working man across the weekend, going to those practices and get to do that much time at practice in a long, long time?
Little tired, little fatigue, and some of that was just because of the conditioning, right? We're not accustomed to getting this much practice availability.
Right. It's been a while. 2019 or something like that since
and
practice was
I
open.
keep hearing that. I'd have to go back and look, but 2019, 2018, and then COVID happened, and they used that excuse to no, you're not going to go out there. No, you're not going to go out there. So,
right. You know, Ryan, I've heard the last few days. You talk about we just ranked number 5 by the coaches poll. But yet we're still talking about, is this team undervalued?
I do think they are.
So now you're putting us in the top 3 or 4 in the country.
I said it yesterday. They're going to finish higher than where they were preseason ranked.
Well, the top 3 or 4 in the country is not 9-3. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I don't think. I think 9-3. You know, what's the floor? I mean, I guess if, you lose all the toss-up games because.
But why are these pundits across the nation automatically diverting to the worst-case scenario?
All right, let me tell you. Okay, we in the media business, we want to be right. We want to be able to say, hey, look. I think there was so many people who dug a hole. Okay, and now they're gonna play all these different things, but their endless work is not very good, right? I mean, if you couldn't see that Kalen DeBoer runs a very complex offense and one that can work in the SEC, then I'm sorry. Football 101, they make those dummies for football. You can go and read those. Those are options. But there was so many people that doubted early on, and I think they were just wrong. Now they don't know what to say. They don't know, and who knows will the season progress. And I'm sure, listen, they're probably going to be the first if Alabama loses a game. I told you so. I told you so. I told you that's what was going to happen. But they're looking for an out, but they've dug their heels in so deeply, they don't know what else to say. They don't know what to say. Because think about, these are the same people, many of them told you that Kalen DeBoer is not going to be able to recruit the South, did they not?
They did.
And now where are they?
They're not speaking as loudly once, but yeah.
Crawfish. Whoa, I didn't say that. I didn't say it in that way. Yeah, you did. I tell you, Josh from what is he from? CFB Nerds, collegefootballnerds.com.
College Football Nerd. That was incredible.
It was.
What the breakdown that he had. Yeah, I could have sit there and listened for another 40 minutes.
I could as well. I learned a lot just by sitting here talking and listening to him.
But I love this staff as far Coach DeBoer is a very calming effect on the team at practice. He's the guy and then you got Kane Womack. Kane Womack's your Nick Saban version at that practice. He's the guy yelling at people and really getting at people, And there's some other position coaches, Coach Linguist and all of them. They really get after you.
Jamarcus Shepard.
And then you got and then you have Coach DeBoer, who's that calming effect and really giving that positive feedback as far as just constantly, they break you down. You got these position coaches breaking you down and really getting after you, and your head coach is really giving you, that positive reinforcement. I like the dynamic of that, Ryan.
I do as well, and I watched the first couple of practices, the way that Kalen DeBoer interacted with his players. Regardless of what I think, the players are buying in. They have bought in to what this. So obviously they're a lot more football savvy than I am. So whatever they're selling, it's not just from a media perspective, but inside that building, they're buying it. Stephen, they're buying it. You can see it in the nonverbals. You can see it when we talk to them. It's like it's just an excitement level that has been missing around here for quite a while.
Ryan, you see the talent on the field at practice every day you're out there. You see it. It's evident. I see it in the videos. If you're going to get Alabama, you better get them early. Because as this team gels on the field, they're going to be a tough out for anybody. I don't think you're going to get them late. If they lose one, I say Georgia. But I don't know. By week 4, I don't know that Georgia beats us at home. They've done it one time in 15 years, So anyhow.
Well, and think about what challenges the defense. Because Alabama's defense and Georgia's defense in years past, we've always struggled with a mobile quarterback.
Right.
One that could extend the plays. Go back to the SEC title game last year. What did Jalen Milroe do that confused those dogs? He was willing to run. Run.
Well, they had 2 spies on him. Georgia did. Georgia had 2 spies. You will not be able to do that under Kalen DeBoer's offense.
Could you imagine if you do?
They'll jet sweep you out the building, I believe.
where Tommy Rees was pretty quickly to abandon the run. I don't think you're going to see that.
No, you're not going to see that.
I think they're working up some stuff on the rushing attack.
Ryan, I said 2 months ago that we'll lead the SEC in rushing. I still believe that. And, I mean, look at that interior offensive line. And if you can, it looks like right now that 4 out of the 5 spots are locked down. And everybody's telling us that interior offensive line is probably the best in the country.
I mean, you heard Josh a couple of minutes ago from CFB Nerds. He said, they're probably going to have the best interior offensive line in the country.
So if you have to really watch the run with Alabama that strongly because they're going to be so good at it, it's going to open up. It's going to open up the offense. Those thoroughbreds that's running at wide receiver all over the place. I just have a good feeling about it, Ryan. I'm so excited to see it. I can't wait to see it. So I love your show, man. Got to go.
Thanks, man.
You have a good one. I'll call you tomorrow.
Hey, right back to you. We'll continue with more of the game. We're going to go to Montreal coming up here in just a couple of minutes. T-Town, Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. El Gran is the great Mexican place in Winn-Dixie Shopping Center. Go over to see my friends Carlos, 205-391-4555, 62 McFarland Boulevard, Monday through Thursday, 11 until 9:30, Friday and Saturday, 11 until 10:30, Sunday also open 11 until 9. You'll find the great daily lunch specials. You'll find great entrees and
DEAL or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
We're college football.
Looking for the Work in Western wear for the entire family. That's the Work in Western headquarters since 1976, a long-standing tradition here. Go over and see my friends Mark and Lee if you're looking for a new pair of boots. Justin, Tawny Lama, Red Wing, Georgia, Double H, Timberline, Laredo, and many more. You will find it at the Wharf since 1976. The Work in Western wear for the entire family. Wrangler jeans, Levi jeans, Lee jeans, Carhartt clothing, shirts, jackets. I know we're not thinking about cold weather, but camo will be here before the options. Hey, hopefully we can pull for colder weather. We can do that at the Wharf. If you'll look at those guys, open until 6 p.m. daily, Monday through Saturday, open until 6 p.m. It is the Wharf, and you can find it between El Gran and the Blue Plate right there. Also between, the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center, or what was the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center, no longer, but El Gran. And also, you'll find it between the Blue Plate. Appreciate those guys for always being a part of our show. It is the Wharf, the Work in Western headquarters. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230.
Or Town Square Media Tuscaloosa radio websites. Fill out the Advertise Here form. Put the power of Town Square Media to work for your business.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Isaac Lowenkron.
San Francisco 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan says star running back Christian McCaffrey has a strained calf and is likely to be held out of practice for a couple of weeks. ESPN reports the 49ers are now willing to listen to trade offers for star receiver Brandon Ayuk, have already received interest from the Patriots and Browns, and this afternoon re-engaged in discussions with the Steelers. At the Olympics, the U.S. men's basketball team won its quarterfinal game over Brazil by 35 points, 122-87. The United States will face Serbia in the semifinals on Thursday. The U.S. women's soccer team won its semifinal match over Germany in extra time, 1-0 on a Sophia Smith goal. They'll face Brazil.
Or return it for free with Lume's 60-day money-back guarantee. That's LUME deodorant.com, code SHOWER, to save 15% today.
Rolling down a backwoods Tennessee byway. One arm on the wheel, holding my lover with the other. A sweet, soft southern thrill. Worked hard all week, got a little jingle on a Tennessee Saturday night. Couldn't feel better, I'm together with my Dixieland tonight. Spend my dollar, park in a holler, neath the mountain moonlight. Hold her up tight, make a little loving, a little turtle doving on a Mason-Dixon night.
Hey, we welcome you right back into the game here in Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Let's go the countdown as we do each and every day at 5 o'clock. We remind all those haters out there, all those dislikers, all those Alabama fatigue syndrome sufferers, guys that are sick of it. They don't know what to do. They're in a panic mode. We remind them why they're upset. You guys ready? 18 national titles. Nobody has more. 30 SEC titles. Nope. Nobody has more, but I'm going to make a prediction. You watch Texas. They're going to come in here with this conference title thing. No. You don't get to claim that. You don't get to claim that, Texas. No. But they'll try. 147 first-team All-Americans, 77 postseason appearances. Nobody has more. We have more postseason appearances than anybody in the country. NCAA record all-time. 45 postseason victories. Oh, yeah. Nobody has more. 4 Heisman winners. There's a few teams out there that have a few more than we do. NCAA all-time scoring leader. Obviously, that is an NCAA record. And the greatest football coaches that ever walked the sidelines. I don't think anybody can argue with that. They can, but they can look dumb while doing it. We are talking little Alabama Crimson Tide football, and we are powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. TuscaloosaToyota.com, the national sales event that includes the Camry, the 2025 Camry, the 2024 RAV4, the 2024 Tundra, the Highlander, and also the Corolla at 3.99. And also do not pay those high rental car prices. You can rent a Toyota today at Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. Let's take phone calls. If you want to jump in, we'd love to have you. 205-342-9904. And if you missed a couple of minutes ago with Josh from College Football Nerds, get a chance to go back and listen to that. A comprehensive breakdown of Alabama Crimson Tide football. Appreciate Josh for jumping on. Learned a lot about the defensive side of the football. We talked a lot about the offensive side of the ball. And let's continue right here, and we'll take those phone calls at 205-342-9904. Blueberry Steve, Montreal, Canada. Blueberry Steve, how are you? Welcome into the game in T-Town.
I'm pretty good, Ryan. How are you?
Oh, good. Is the Canadians ready for college football?
Yeah. I would say, yeah. Definitely excited. I mean, every day. What are we at? 25 days away?
We are at 25 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union, alabamacu.com. 25 days away. One Derek Lassick away from Alabama Crimson Tide football.
So I am excited. My crew, we're all excited. We're getting ready to come down to Tuscaloosa again in October. We're not going to wait till November. Ryan, I'm on Facebook now.
Hold on a minute. You are on Facebook?
I sent you a friend request.
Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna go delete somebody that's not been nice to me, and I'm gonna kick them out to the curb.
Under Steve Austin.
Okay. All right. So you sent me a friend request, right?
I think so, yeah. I don't know how it works.
Now hold on. Steve. You have no photos. This looks like a spamware account. Come on now. We gotta have. I mean, I know I'm already dealing with Tommy and Romulus with technology, but
yeah.
We're gonna have to get you a photo or something, man. This blank photo graphic.
Yeah, no, I'm going to get my son to help me with this.
Okay.
I'll read you what I said. I said, I'm known as Blueberry Steve to all my friends at Tide Nation who listen to the game with Ryan Fowler. Last year, I went to Tuscaloosa to see my team get our revenge against LSU along with my son, Krav Maga John, my brother Bourbon Jim, and his son Maple Mike. Now, that's all I put on there, and so far I have nobody else. I have to learn what to do. I don't
even see where you've posted.
I didn't post yet. I just put in my it's called what is it called?
A bio?
Your story. Your story.
It's called
story.
Your Story. Okay, well,
I don't know.
I'm looking at it, but you have not put a profile photo up there because I've got you. And we're going to see if we can get you a few more friends here.
I'm gonna learn how to do this week. I'm gonna see my son and figure it all out. I know.
Listen, Blueberry Steve, do you live in the city or do you live out in the country or?
No, I live in a suburb of Montreal, the West Island of Montreal.
Well, what you could do is you could just walk up and you could just walk down, find you a young person and say, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? I promise you they'll teach you.
Well, no. My son will teach me. Honestly, you met my son. He's a smart kid. He's, good guy. Krav Maga John. He's in the picture that we took together. He's wearing his Krav Maga shirt. I don't know if you recall. Anyways.
I do.
Ryan.
Okay.
What's going on? Are we going to meet those crybabies from Austin in the playoffs and wipe that smug grin off their face?
Well, we had a chance to put them in a spot last year, and we didn't do it.
I know.
We didn't do it.
I know.
So we have nobody to blame from this arrogant attitude that they've got other than ourselves. We have one person to blame or one group, and it's Alabama.
Tommy Reese. You have to blame Tommy Reese. That's what you have to blame. But anyways, but we can meet him. We can meet him in the playoffs, right? Now, what's the deal with that horns down thing? Did he ever rule on that?
Well, I guess they're not going to be like the Big 12, and if it's used in a derogatory fashion, just like taunting, it can be used as a penalty. But automatically when this horns down, and we're going to have to toughen up these Texas people. They're soft as butter.
What a bunch of babies! Come on.
They
Come
are.
on, even the Boogs don't start crying like these.
You live around here, and I promise you, they do cry a lot.
Okay. Well, I've been to Austin many times. It's actually one of my favorite cities in the world from a music point of view.
Oh, for music, okay.
Sixth Street is awesome. It's just great because I'm a big music fan. But
I hear it's a pretty radical town. Is what I'm being told.
Oh, it is. It's it's the blue. It's the blue heart. It's the blue, not heart. It's the blue spot, deep blue spot in Ruby Red, Texas. Along with Harris County in the Houston area, which is also pretty blue. Yeah, I've been to Austin many times for business, but Josh of CFB Nerds, I'll agree with Stephen. What I really like about him is when he said right at the end, he's talking about. I agree with what he said. The importance of using the tight ends if used properly. So the tight end coach is this guy Brian Ellis.
It is Brian Ellis.
And who does he? So who calls the OC calls the plays? Like Sheridan calls the plays.
He
right?
will. Well, he will. It's Kalen DeBoer's offense, but Nick Sheridan certainly has got his handprints and fingerprints all over it. Jamarcus Shepard is the co-offensive coordinator.
Okay, but so because we've talked about this before in the past. I think I've mentioned this even last year. I kept going on about how important it would be to get the tight ends more involved. And that's what Josh was talking about. I think that if so that would be Brian Ellis, who works with these guys. And what's his philosophy? Like, does he want to get him involved in like the pass play? And
yeah. But I think you're also going to see these guys block too.
Of course. Well, that's been the standard, right, for most tight ends is blocking. But you got to use them also to just fade out a little bit and pick up those short dinking and dunking. That's, honestly, the dinking and dunking. Tom Brady. I mean, with what's his name? Gronk.
It was
right.
Yeah, it was.
So why can't we? I mean, it's a good thing to think about. So another thing on my mind. I look at the schedule. I listen to. I don't call the other shows. I listen occasionally when I can. I like very much the Miller's Edge with the passer of Payne but now he's a Gamecocks fan, right? And so the Gamecocks are coming to Tuscaloosa on the 12th. I think 2 weeks before I come down. So
I don't think you're going to hear a lot of talk out of Corey on that week.
I want to listen to the father and son because the son was defense. It was an inside backer for the Tide or
outside. He was an edge guy. Christian was an edge guy.
Yeah. Okay, but doesn't matter. And he won a natty, didn't he?
He did, and I'm pretty sure he was a permanent captain.
Yeah.
You know what? No. I think he won multiple national titles. I mean, sometimes it runs together, but Christian, I think he won multiple national titles. He was on the team on the 2017 Tua second and 41. He was also a part of the 2015.
He was here from 14 to when they got to 19 when they got blown out in the Natty.
Yeah, and I'll never forget this. Don't tell Christian I told you this, but I interviewed him out in Santa Clara when we were out there, and I thought we needed to put pressure on Trevor Lawrence, okay? And I interviewed Christian out there, and I've still got the interview. He told me he was going to be able to go, and then he was not able to go. But they could have been trying to, as a coaching staff, kind of lead you down, but maybe they thought they could be able to go. But so he won. Let's see. So 2014, we were a college football playoff team. We did win the SEC title in 2014.
Lost to Ohio State.
Yeah, down in New Orleans. But I'm just trying to think. I think we won an SEC title. 2015, we won the national title and the SEC title. 2016, we won the SEC title, and then we got beat by Tampa down on a pick play from Hunter Renfrow and Deshaun. What's the guy?
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson. And then, we'd got him out in 2015 out in Glendale. And then 2017, matter of fact, Christian and Terrell Lewis were hurt 2017 opening game against Florida State. And I think what's so crazy about this is how they busted their butt to get back because both of them had season-ending injuries in the first game, Florida State game. But what they did is they put in the work and they got back. And if you go back and look at the Georgia game where, we were kind of getting stunk up and looked like it was out of question, they made plays who put us in a spot in the playoffs, in the national championship game that forced Georgia to kick. On third down, I know Terrell Lewis made a dynamic play. And if he had made that play, who knows? They could have scored a touchdown. Then second, 26 never happens. But both those young men were knocked out. So we were down, that was that number 1 against number 2 or 2 against 3. It was that, century matchup opening season. And DeAndre Francois, Ronnie Harrison knocked him out. And Jimbo Fisher went crashing.
Francois?
Yeah, DeAndre Francois, I think is the way you say it.
Il parle en français, oui?
Yeah.
Francois?
Si. Yeah, si.
So the point is that Christian is he's got the Tide running through his veins. He's also a sideline reporter on your radio broadcast.
Yeah, Crimson Tide
right?
Sports Network. Yeah.
Yeah, but his dad, Corey, the pastor of Payne, is a Gamecock guy, right?
He is.
So it'll be fun. It'll be fun listening to, and he's this year. Corey is very much down, or not. I want to say not down, but he's very.
He's bearish. He's bearish.
He's bearish on the defense, on our defense this year. And Christian is always coming back and saying, "No, come on, man." It's so funny listening to him. But yeah, that's going to be fun to listen to the week before that. A buddy of mine who's watching the Kamala and her new Veep whatever donut. Apparently they have a rally going on. He just texted me and he said they have a new slogan, and their slogan is "We're not going back." So, you know what I say? I say she's not going anywhere. That's what I say.
Build back
That's
better.
That's coming from Blueberry Steve.
Build back better. I'm always hesitant when people stand up and tell me what they are going to do when they've been in charge for the last 3.5 years.
Right, and done nothing. Right.
It would be like me coming in and saying, listen, man, I've stunk it up for the last 20 years on the radio. Tomorrow is going to be the best day in the history of this show. Okay, well, why did I do it today? Why did I do it yesterday? Why did I do it last week? I mean, it's almost admitting that you're mailing it in. But, really, here you are, Blueberry Steve. Let me get off this, man. Roll Tide. I got to run, Blueberry Steve. You try to drag me down there. I know what you're doing. Forget it.
Oh, come on. All right, roll MAGA, roll Tide.
Roll Tide, roll. We'll continue with more. Let me tell you about the Standard Pizzas, thestandardpizza.com. Home of the 20-inch pizza pie, pepperoni, meat lovers, cheese. Design your own boneless wings, cheese sticks, mac and cheese bites. Dine in. You can have a full-service restaurant or carry-out or available by DoorDash. TheStandardBama.com. TheStandardBama.com. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
Northport's Big Lot Discount Department Store is one of 315 underperforming locations that will be closed nationwide. The announcement is part of the company's filing with the Security and Exchange Commission. According to first quarter quarterly results, the retailer has seen sales decline by $114 million in the first quarter of 2024. Malachi Moore and Jalen Milroe have been named to the Walter Camp watch list. Follow these stories and more at TuscaloosaThread.com.
Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters. Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Got a situation on Joe Malisham Parkway northbound at 2059. There is an object in the roadway. May cost you a little bit of a delay as you're having to try to maneuver around that. Also 2059 westbound at 359. We do still have a report of that fender bender.
It's the year-end clearance sale at Townsend Nissan going on now. You can save thousands. See BJ or Kylan today at Townsend Nissan, your savings place.
Northport Power Equipment, largest inventory Husqvarna dealer in the Southeast. You'll find the Husqvarna models for residential and the professional landscapers, Skag commercial mowers, residential mowers, backpack blowers, handheld blowers, battery-operated tools. The service department at Northport Power Equipment.
For more information, contact us at 205-333-0231 or visit behwater.biz.
The game is powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. David DeSantis, the largest selection of new Toyotas in over 3 years, can be found on Skyline Boulevard, 3325 Skyline Boulevard. Also a nice inventory of pre-owned inventory. You can find the new Tundra, the 2024, the Tacoma two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. How about a new 4Runner, Highlander, RAV4, Camry, Corolla? For those outside of Tuscaloosa.
Critical legislation now.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
The longest running sports show in Tuscaloosa.
Think of losing you. I spend most every night.
Well, we have another availability. Tomorrow will be the offensive side of the football, and then we'll lead into this first scrimmage. But when you look at Alabama Crimson Tide football, a lot of availability. Currently, it's 101 of the heat index, 93 degrees. Tomorrow, get ready. Get ready. Drink plenty of water. 97 tomorrow. 97. Yes, 97 tomorrow. A little bit hotter on Thursday and a little bit hotter on Friday, leading right into that big scrimmage. And Fan Day, 92. So you get a little bit of a cool down. Don't know how you guys are going to deal with it, but find you a jacket. Hey, let me tell you about Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. Today is Burger Day. You got burger and tots, and you can find the pepper jelly burger. That's always a good option, right? Pepper jelly burger, always. If you're not able to make it by for dinner, and, we're a couple of weeks away from the new location that's going to be opening. The original location is going to be staying there, but they're going to be opening up on the lake as well. We'll be telling you more about that. But if you're looking for a great dinner special, always Monday through Saturday lunch and dinner options. But today's burger features R&R burger, the Albuquerque burger, and the pepper jelly burger, and doing the pineapple upside down bread pudding. Took some family members that were in from Tennessee, and they were very impressed with the pepper jelly burger, but also the pineapple upside down bread pudding. Tomorrow, the lunch specials, blackened mahi tacos, chicken parmesan, chicken club. You can get that fried or grilled, and then they'll bring back the pork chop and the coffee rub prime rib. But listen, the bread pudding, it's worth the trip alone, and you can find it at Southern Ale House. Eat Southern, be Southern, Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. Let's continue, and we go here to AC in Bangladesh. AC, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, man. How you feeling? Thank you so much for taking my call.
Good. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, thank you.
I'm good. So Mr. Josh, the college football nerd, is hyping the Bama Nation up, right? That's beautiful. So when are you going to have my boy? It's been a long time, Mike Griffith. When are you going to have him?
Well, I'm sure we'll probably feature him Georgia week. What would you like to ask Mike?
I mean, am I going to literally talk to him? I mean, whatever the questions he decides to write for him, I want to listen to what Mike Griffith has to say about it. Let's hear what's happening in the Dog Nation. I want to hear it. I mean, we keep hearing Bama. I want to hear from the other side of the story. What's going on in the other side? I mean, you got to get him on, right?
I mean, if you say so.
Well, you have to. I mean, you've been telling me for a month and a half, soon. My question is, how soon? Or someone has to write him a paycheck so he can come on. Like, come on, man. What is going on? I mean, the dogs, they cannot bark. Only thing we got to hear from the elephants from the other room. That's what we have to hear. But Mr. Fowler,
we are an Alabama show, AC. I don't know if you've
I understand.
I understand that yet, but
I understand that. But we need to hear from the other people. Let's see what's happening in Ohio State, how they're going to cry, or how Michigan is cheating. You got to put those people on the spot. All right, you got soft with those guests. I don't know what's going on with you. But it was a nice interview you had. But let me ask you a question. So let's assume Bama fails to win the national championship. I guess I could blame it on you because you're part of the hype train. Are you going to eat some crow if they fail to win the national championship? Because you give a lot of crows, and I welcome that. I'm not scared.
Well, I haven't predicted they would win a national title.
You're predicting they're going to win the national championship, right?
I have not predicted they were going to win the national title.
You have not. So, okay, so how come you don't have the confidence?
Well, it's not that I don't have confidence, but I think it takes a lot
don't
to.
Stutter.
No, I don't think.
Don't stutter.
Well, no, I don't think it. I don't think you could be a Georgia fan and predict they're going to win a national title. I mean, you know what it takes to win a national title.
In the other station, there's Georgia Bulldogs fans. They're confident they're going to win the championship. I'm pretty sure they have some sort of confidence. You're the guy who hypes everybody up, and we're going to go 12. Well, you don't say 12-0, but your call is 12-0. We're going to go 10-2, 11-1. We're going to win the national championship. They're buying into what you're telling them, Mr. Fowler. So if anything happens to the Bama, if they fail to win the national championship, I'll blame it on you 50%. Matter of fact, I'll blame it on you 35% because you're part of the hype train. So, well, I mean, are you turning into Dabo Swinney by any chance? I mean, what is going on, man? I'm going to challenge you.
What do you mean?
Because Dabo runs his mouth, and how many championships they won? 2 of them, right? As far as I call, 2 championships. Sure, he's all the hype. But how many national championships did he win other than 2? Clemson Tigers are the yesterday's news, and it seems like Mr. Fowler is going to be 1 year ago news. That's what's going to happen to you. You're part of the hype train. You're hyping the Bama Nation up. That's what you're doing.
I guess that's an opinion. I mean, I have to tell you what I see, what I hear. Would you rather me lie to the audience?
I mean, you want me to lie to the audience. That's what you said probably like a month and a half ago. So why don't you lie? I mean, might as well, right?
Well, they're not going to win a game.
You and I, we can
they're not going to win a game.
Then who's not going to win a game? So you're saying they're going to go 0-12?
I don't think they can win a game.
Oh, well, and I don't blame you either, because they're not going to win the national championship, right?
What?
Bama's not going to win the national championship. I mean, that's what you said about like 3 minutes ago. I mean, that's your confidence level. You think they're not going to win the national championship.
I said I have not predicted they're going to win a national title.
Okay, when am I going to get your prediction?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. You're dead serious, right?
No, I want to go through one scrimmage, and then I'll make my prediction of what this team's going to be.
You know, I'm going to give you a week. Instead of giving you a day, I'm going to give you a week. How about that?
Regardless of what you're going to give me, I'm going to tell you after the first scrimmage what I think this team's going to be able to do.
Okay. But what about the Texas Longhorns? How far do you think they're going to go?
Hopefully to the crapper.
I don't blame you. I mean, what would happen? Check this out before I hang up. What would happen end of November when they play Texas A&M and A&M puts up 30 gazillion points? I think that'll be. I guess. I think then it's going to be a time. Let's get rid of Sarkisian. That's what the Texas boosters do, man. They hire and fire coaches, but they don't know how to win championships. Did I get that right, or did I get that wrong?
They've won one national title in 54 years. Yes.
That's right. And they may not even win the championship at all. The way NIL is going, the way the 12-team playoffs are going, I don't know what's going to happen. They may not even make a playoffs. They might cry. And who knows? They might get into that new Saban field, and this time Bama might beat them. That can happen. I mean, they're not playing this season. They're going to play probably next season, whatever their schedule is. So, do you have, what's his name, Sam Kahn from the Big 12 or whatever he covers? Do you have him or you don't?
I've talked to Sam.
Okay, probably you should get him on and let's see what he has to say about Big 12, how bad they're going to crash, and ask him some questions about the Texas Longhorns, how soft they're going to be when they come to SEC. And don't forget about Oklahoma. They're soft just like Texas. They can bring their money.
Hey, Steve, I got to go, man. My head is killing me. I don't even know what to say.
I hope your blood pressure goes up all the way, buddy.
No. I feel like I'm talking to someone who shows up to a tic-tac-toe tournament wanting to talk football. So I don't know. It's just my head's spinning. I mean, I'm trying to follow, but it's a challenge, man. It is truly a challenge. I try hard. I'm just not able to accomplish the task ahead. We got to run. J. Rob Montgomery, hopefully you can get us back on track. We'll do that next. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. DanielMooreArt.com. Daniel Moore Art celebrates those special moments of Alabama football history like 4th and 31, Jalen Milroe connected with Isaiah Bond, or the legacy continues with all the great memories of Alabama Crimson Tide football. You can celebrate Coach Saban with a Nick Saban print, the limited edition canvas. You could also find many of the great mini prints. Celebrate that special Alabama fan in your life. Daniel
Miles. And if they don't have what you need, they'll get it. Cypress Supply, 2036 62nd Avenue, Tuscaloosa. Cypress-supply.com.
MedCenterUrgentCare.com. We expect the unexpected. Locations in Tuscaloosa, Northport, North River, right there off Rice Mine Road, Fayette, Demopolis, Hoover. The great doctors, urgent care, family medicine, injuries, occupational health, sports physicals. We do expect the unexpected. MedCenter Urgent.
Shop AI-ready PCs powered by Snapdragon X Series processors at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Dos Amigos, Highway 69 in the new Publix Shopping Center. 11 a.m. opening, 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday closing at 9, Sunday through Thursday. Some great Mexican cuisine, the great fajitas, the great desserts, the great lunch specials. You'll find it at Dos Amigos in the Publix Shopping Center on Highway 69. Takeout orders always an option at 205-737-7344, 205-737-7344. Dos Amigos.
Tide 100.9. For more.
Eddie up in Somerset, Kentucky kind of summarizes all of this. He says, good Lord, send him back, send him back, send him back. Eddie, Somerset, Kentucky, absolutely. Thank you. Yes, we'll continue. We'll go to J-Rob Montgomery. J-Rob, please, I'm asking you, pleading with you, please save the show.
Roll Tide, Ryan Fowler. How's it going?
Roll Tide. Oh, yeah, it's good day. Good day. Good day.
AC reminds me of a dog chasing his tail. I mean, he's just going around in circles and circles and never getting nowhere. Oh, my goodness. I could feel the frustration through the speaker on my phone.
Yeah,
it was pretty rough.
Yeah, it was. It was. It was a challenge. It was a challenge. It's kind of like listening to that laughing hyena. That's.
Oh my goodness! I had to. You ought to see all the network news. They're all just slobbering all over this stuff.
Yeah.
With this announcement, man, it's sickening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all over.
I mean, you got two radicals running, and. The only thing is...
they're promoting him. I mean, they're promoting his background of being a high school football coach and going from there to being governor.
Well, they want to be able to... Yeah, they want to be able to spin it to be able to, like, he's just this common American, and really, if you get to really studying in it, he's a radical. He's a radical. But, I mean, that's where the party has moved to. So, it's who they are.
That's right. And whoever we're going to vote for that, that side of the party, if they're gonna vote for something like that, then there's nothing that we're probably gonna say or do to change their mind. I mean, they don't care about their paycheck or their grocery bills or any of that type of stuff. They're worried about being able to go to the women's bathroom or being able to do those type of things. Say they're a whatever kind of pronoun they want to dream up that day. It's getting crazy for normal people in America.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well,
we need Blueberry Steve to come down and campaign for us a little bit.
I mean, Blueberry Steve in Montreal has got it all together, man. All together.
Maybe he can come down in November to Georgia and do like they did last year. Have some voting going on from dead folks.
Well, do you know why he's so pro-freedom, pro-patriot movement?
He sounds like he's one of us.
No. He's experienced it. He's experienced it.
Yeah, I guess he does.
Like he's experienced what the left does and that type of agenda to ram it down their throat. And so he's like, whoa. Sit down, listen to him. Sit down, listen to him. Go talk to these people from other countries. Anyway, J-Rob.
He listens to what goes on down here, and you know,
Save them.
they got free medical up there, but hey, you may wait 2 or 3 years you may be dead before you get the operation you need or whatever. It's terrible from what I hear.
A beautiful country with a lot of resources, but their movement happened several years ago. I'm not sure exactly when it started, but it's unique, man. J-Rob, I went to Vancouver last summer.
Yeah.
You would have never thought I was in Vancouver. You thought I was, man. I mean, it looked more like Iraq than it did Vancouver.
Goodness, man, that's hard to hear. But you know, Seattle, you know, back when the riots and that stuff was going on, you saw what was going on up in that area of the country.
Oh, and that's not too far away. Not too far away.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm getting excited about what's going on in Tuscaloosa. I'm not really down on anything that I hear. Everything I hear is positive. You know, the only negative thing I hear is from the national media.
Yeah, are they still on this? Because I don't listen to a lot of them. Obviously, we got football practice.
Oh, I don't either.
Okay. But, I mean, I see it shared on social networks from time to time.
Occasionally I hear something from, ESPN or something like that by mistake, you know, early in the morning when I'm flipping channels after Martin goes off. But they're still non-believers. We'll have to make believers out of them, just like Coach Saban did. I mean, they're haters. They're Bama haters.
Well, and I get it because they want the love spread among a lot of teams, right? And Alabama kind of bored them to death for a long, long time.
They want it to be more interesting for the rest of the people in the country.
Right.
But, you know,
so to get Alabama out of the way, right? To move them on out. It was wishful thinking, and, you know, here they are.
That's exactly right. Well, I know you're getting short of time, and you're probably got people waiting to get on before the end of the show, so I'll get off here. I've been enjoying this show, whatever I got to hear this afternoon. Ryan, you take care of yourself. You are the best.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Let's go to Henry in Texas. Henry, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
All is well, Mr. Ryan Fowler. How are you doing? It's good to hear from you.
Hey, it's good to hear from you, man. Thank you for calling in.
Absolutely. Hey, two things real quick, and then a couple questions for you. I only get to catch the very tail end from the show because of how late we're staying at work. But, hey, I got some advice for your AC who's not sure of parlaying, but I was going to say I'm going to give him two sure winners, and all he has to do is pick one more. The two sure winners is going to be Bama in the over and Bama to cover in their first game.
Okay.
So all he's got to do is pick one more game. And I was, you know, since you came over here to Texas for the media days, it just goes to show there's not a lot of excitement in Texas for the University of Texas as far there's not really no call-in show. So I was always thinking your friend Digger that likes to call in from Louisiana that likes to talk about Texas, I think he has to call y'all show because he ain't got one here in Texas to call.
Well, maybe that's why we're attracting so many folks. I mean, do they really not have sports talk radio shows out there that are caller-friendly?
Ryan, I'm telling you, that it's all professional out here. Even when A&M was in the World Series, they may have spoke about it like real quick on the sport one time. And that was really about it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's a good reason he likes to call your show. Hey, and last, but I have a good feeling about this year in Jalen Milroe. You got to think about this. Who's the only returning quarterback in the SEC who hasn't lost an SEC game?
Oh, wow. That's a big stat. All right.
That would be one Jalen Milroe. which quarterback returning is the only top 5 finish in the Heisman Trophy last year in the SEC.
And also, by the way, I'll go ahead and share this. I shared this earlier this week, but I will tell you that we will feature Jalen Milroe live on Friday afternoon, live on the air. It will not be a recorded interview. 3:50. He'll be doing a speaking engagement, and we will talk with him live.
That'd be sweet. Very sweet.
So
maybe I'm supposed to get out a little bit early on Friday, so maybe I'll be able to catch that live. But yeah, he's a top 5 returning Heisman Trophy candidate from last year, the only SEC quarterback with that credential. And think about this: he played behind one of the worst offensive lines in college football last year. I mean, I think he is going to have a phenomenal year this year.
I do as well. I mean, I look at it. It's pretty awesome.
Anything else going on in Tuscaloosa?
No, I think we've pretty much. I mean, a lot of excitement. I mean, there is a lot of buzz around this football team.
All right, well, good to hear. I'll try to catch you every chance I get. It's hard, but I'll try to give a call in, but you're usually busy by the time I get out. But luckily, I got in today. Hey, Roll Tide, guys, and let's go get 19 this year.
Hey, thank you, Henry. Thank you. Henry in Texas. We're going to break here. We're going to come back. We'll wrap up the loose ends. We'll get our last duck through the hole. Ellis, get ready. We're coming to you next. T-Town Tide, 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. The usual brake lights on Lurleen Wallace are heavy in both directions in between University and McFarland Boulevard. And also looks like we do still have the fender bender on Skyland northbound at Overhill Road. But I do have some good news. 2059
to get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Call Paul at 205-331-6823. Custom curbing for your home or business. Do away with those plastic individual stone borders. Go for that more permanent, decorative concrete border. No more grass growing between those individual stones. Cleaner to edge to maintain. They're willing to travel, not just here in Tuscaloosa, but also in our neighboring states as well over in Mississippi. Many colors and choices. They'll customize for that individual taste and house. Give them a call at 205-331-6823. You could also go to their Facebook account. Find their page. You can see exactly what the videos. They came out, did a free quote. Paul gave me an evaluation. Give them a call, 205-331-6823. Free quotes and evaluation. It is Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. Call Paul at 205-331-6823.
With only 43 seconds remaining, facing a 4th and goal from the 31-yard line at Jordan-Hare Stadium, quarterback Jalen Milroe finds himself under immense pressure, scrambling to connect with Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone for a miraculous come-from-behind victory over Auburn. The jaw-dropping 27-24 result came on the 10th anniversary of the Kick Six. Daniel Moore is proud to announce 4th and 31, his upcoming oil painting featuring the now famous Gravedigger play. New Life Art is now accepting pre-orders for limited edition fine art prints and canvases of 4th and 31. See the preliminary pencil sketch for the artist's full color painting at DanielMooreArt.com. Pre-order.
City Brewing Company on Saturday, August 24th. Doors open up at 3 p.m. Tickets are $10 with proceeds benefiting the Tuscaloosa Metro Animal Shelter. Learn more at ashfest.org.
The Pharmacy at Midtown with TJ Thomas, 205-752-0627. PharmacyMidtown.com. Don't forget about the retail side of the Pharmacy at Midtown. It's an independent-owned pharmacy specializing in walk-in prescriptions, medicine on time packaging, which increases that independence. Compounding needs. The only sterile compounding facility in Tuscaloosa is the Pharmacy at Midtown with TJ Thomas.
The Game with Ryan.
In the club with my homies, trying to get a little down
JC in Florida in Vero Beach says no one call in a show for UT or Ags. I lived in Texas for 19 years. It was awful coverage for college. Wow. Okay. I'm learning a lot about the state of Texas. No wonder we've got a guy named Digger that calls in and wants to talk a little Texas football with us. I mean, maybe we talk more than those guys out there. I know they do some podcasts with some of the Longhorn stuff, but did not realize that it was that big of an issue. I know that it is Dallas Cowboy State. I get that. Wow. All right, I'm learning. Ellis, Manchester, Tennessee. Ellis, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Before I get started, I want to thank you, like I have everybody else, for all of that stuff that y'all are putting out about Alabama football. I got to say it. Thank y'all very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that, man. We do, it's a lot of work, but it's an enjoyment.
Yes, it's a lot of work. It's got to be a lot of work.
Yeah, but it's fun. I mean, listen, I've still got so many interviews that I have not even published. Simply because of the amount of content. I mean, it is a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
And it's different now since you got to go in the morning time and in the evening time. How is that getting?
Here's the thing. You're going out there and you're getting sweaty and nasty and you smell like a horse's rump. So I'm going home and taking a shower and then coming into the radio station, because if not, I'd have to sit here and smell myself for 4 hours, and I'd say no thank you to that.
No, I couldn't either. I'd have to have a bath. But yes, and then I seen something on Twitter that Gary Harris retweeted, where they was talking about Kane Womack talking about Red Morgan.
He is, yeah. Phoenix City.
That he's very happy and impressed with his practice and how he's coming along, and that he could use him in the Husky formation. What is? I think Christian on the midday show told me what the Husky deal is.
Well, how did he explain it? Because it's more just the nickelback.
You might can ask Wyatt. Wyatt probably remember more than what I did.
I don't know what Christian said, but you've got the Husky, the Wolf, and the Bandit. So, but the Husky is more of what we call the nickelback. What was it called in the Saban era? Was it called Star?
Star.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
So just different, same position, just terminology a little different.
And just excited, I can feel the excitement up here listening to everybody talk about what's going on in Tuscaloosa. I can feel it here sitting at the house when y'all talk about it. So I can't wait to come down.
Well,
the first football game can't get here soon enough.
Now, Ellis, you're a big A-Day guy. Are you coming down for Fan Day, or are you going to wait for the first game? I mean,
I think I'm going to wait for the first game.
Okay. Well, you know what? I don't think that's a bad move. I got to be honest with you. I don't know.
Because I've already seen them practice, in the A-Day game.
Yeah.
You ain't going to see anything different.
Yeah, I don't know if that's be honest with you, I don't know if that's a bad idea. Because I don't know if I drive. I don't know if I live. Yeah, what are you? 4 hours away? 3 hours away? What is it?
Nearly, but it's 3.5 hours. Nearly 4 hours.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think I'd drive 4 hours to watch a Fan Day. I hope Greg Burns not listening. So. All right,
and then somebody had
I got to run.
Open up their mouth about football practice or football scrimmage, so that's why nobody's getting to see a scrimmage.